Welcome to another deadline stream ahead of Gameweek 26, and it was already bad enough with all the news we had before, but the bombshell was dropped earlier today that we've got doubles in 28 and 29, and plenty of them as well, so maybe it reduces the appeal of a bench boost in Gameweek 36, which we believed would be the biggest double game week of the season potentially. And I'm going to go through each team that's going to double in 28 and 29, talk about some of the best players you can get from them, and also highlight one player in particular and talking about their stats. So trying to keep it different from the transfer tips videos where I talked about players from the same team. I'm going to show you what my team is looking like right now. Jota's in there still. He could play the second game, but he is ruled out of that first game against Norwich indefinitely, and it's a race against time for Jota to be fit against Leeds and also the Carabao Cup final, which is most important for Liverpool. Weghorst should be fine, but he might still struggle to make the first game against Brighton. And the way I'm looking at it is I don't mind if Dennis comes off the bench for Jota if Jota were to miss both games. So I might not take an additional hit. And now with the news that all these players pretty much are having doubles, it does make me reassess. I was looking to take another hit potentially for Tarkowski or maybe for Saka. Now I am reconsidering, and I'm going to be talking about the chip strategy. And I already had some plans of when I wanted to use each of these chips, but they have changed a little bit, especially with the wild card, and that could be deployed sooner than anticipated. But thank you to everyone who's in the chat right now. I'm going to try to get through as many questions and comments as possible, and then later on, as I said, I'm going to be talking about certain players and teams. For the doubles in 28 and 29, Newcastle are the only team who have doubles in 28 and 29. But there's going to be all sorts of stuff to talk about right now. So thank you once again for tuning in. We've got over 50 people watching right now, so thank you very much. And please consider smashing the subscribe button. I already botched it. Maybe you shouldn't subscribe. But yeah, try smash the subscribe button. We're almost at 10,000 subscribers, and we can definitely get that. So let's go now through your questions. So welcome to David. Hi Dylan. Thoughts on Watkins out for Weghorst and Digne out for Tarkowski for a -4? I'd be a bit less inclined now with Digne having a double in 28, so I probably wouldn't do that. Watkins out for Weghorst, I can see why you do it, but then there is the possibility of him missing out the first game. I think he'll be fine, but you never know. With the news of Aston Villa, I'd actually say, you know what, you don't have to take that -4. Before that news, though, I would have said go for it. I think you're going to definitely stack yourself up. But then you look at it the other way. Burnley are having 2 game weeks or 2 double game weeks in a row. Aston Villa only have 1 in the next 2 or 3 game weeks. So it's still, I can see why you're doing it. I think I'd be more tempted by Watkins to Weghorst. Jota and Gallagher giving me heartaches. I guess Tomiyasu is staying. Yeah, and also Tomiyasu's kind of been cleared to play. He's available for contention. That's what Arteta said, and he's been in training for several days, so I would keep him. Hope to catch the latter part of the stream. Thank you, the Flying Dutchman. What are the Watkins comments by Gerrard? I just see everyone dropping him to the bench. Well, I'm not aware of that because unfortunately I was preparing this stream and also preparing all the information and stuff, but I wouldn't be too surprised if things get some minutes off him as well. And Watkins has been pretty poor, especially from an FPL perspective in recent game weeks, so I can see why people want to get rid of him. And there's not many good strikers right now, but Weghorst might be an appealing one. There's Edouard and quite a few others. It is a shame though with Aston Villa's fixtures and also that double in 28, but yeah, if anyone does know about those comments with Gerrard, then let me know. Hi Dylan, my team is Ramsdale, Foster. Should I do 1 free transfer and 0.5 million in the bank, or what should I do? It's tough, isn't it? So I don't know which chips you have, Aiden. That's also something else you have to consider with these decisions, but I'd still be willing to kind of change things around. It's difficult with Rudiger because he has some very good fixtures from 28 onwards, but no doubles in 28 or 29 for Chelsea. So that's difficult, but I think what I would do with your team is get rid of Jota. I think that's the thing I would do. And I'd probably move to Saka, and you could free in 27, and then going into 28 you could wildcard. I'm going to be talking about that later on. Is Jota out? He's going to miss the first game. As for the second one against Leeds, no idea there. No confirmation whatsoever. We'd just be speculating at that point. So the extent of his injury isn't fully determined yet, and that's what Klopp said in his interview. So let's now get back to your questions as well. Welcome Slimy, welcome Lager as well, thank you very much for tuning in. Welcome Kobe, Jeff. Che Adams or Weghorst? I prefer Weghorst, but Che Adams has shown better goal scoring form recently. I'm going to be talking about both of them later on in this video. Which week would you wildcard? It's not set in stone, but I'm actually leaning towards wildcarding in 28 or 31. So one of those 2 game weeks looks very appealing to me. Just to kind of briefly summarize why. In game week 28, there's quite a lot of fixture swings, and also you've got the doubles in 28 and 29, which you could, hit 2 birds with 1 stone by wildcarding in 28. And in 31, you can, after playing your free hit potentially in 30 or deadening your team into Game Week 30, which is going to be a big blank, you can then wildcard out of it in Game Week 31. So that's kind of my opinions on it. Beforehand, I was looking to use it between Game Weeks 31 and 35 as late as that, but now it's probably between 28 and 31. Elise or Cornet? Right now, I'd probably go for Cornet. I'm not a huge fan of either, but I'll probably go for Cornet. Elise is still good, but he's a bit more subject to rotation. Yeah, should I triple captain Salah? Look, so you might have a really good bench as well this week. And if you've got, I've seen some people that I know as well, they've got like 2 double game week players on their bench. They've got De Gea and then they've got Cancelo. I think that's actually worth bench boosting, even if the double game week players aren't necessarily that good, like Dennis, King, Edouard or Lise. But I would consider maybe using the bench boost there. In most cases, though, I'd probably just use the triple captaincy on Salah. I think you're not going to get a better set of doubles, as we just saw here. Liverpool in Game Week 29, I'll talk about them later as well. They've got a double, but it's nowhere near as good as that. So, yeah, I think I'd probably use the triple captaincy on Salah if possible. Bruno to Son for a -4. I probably would, but you don't have to because Leeds are looking very shaky, and I think Bruno could do very well. But Son is just a great option long term, and he's got a double as well very soon in Game Week 29. Should I bench Jota for Cucurella? Honestly, what I would do is just start Jota, and if he doesn't play both games, Cucurella comes on anyway. Even if Jota gets 60 minutes or something in the second game, which I'm not sure if that's going to happen, then I would actually rather have him than Cucurella. Thank you very much, John, for being a channel member for 4 months. Much appreciated. With the new doubles, I'm loving my Ward-Prowse buy. I'm actually going to highlight him later on, finally. I've briefly mentioned him before, but I haven't really given him maybe the credit he deserves. And whenever I have mentioned him, a lot of people kind of seem a bit hesitant because a lot of his returns are depending on set pieces, but he gets returns. Very consistent since December. So, yeah, I think he's worth including. Greeting from Florida, USA, Dylan and you Chaz. Thank you, John, once again. Yeah. In terms of should I triple captain Salah, just to kind of make that clear, I think you should if you can. If you've got a really good bench boost, then you could consider something else. You don't have to just triple captain him out of fear of missing out, but I honestly would triple captain him. There's also Trent if you're looking for a bit of a differential this week. Coutinho or Rafinha? Coutinho. Because of that double in 28, I'd go for Coutinho, but I like both of them. Forson Weghorst, I mean, I brought him in. I still think he's decent. He hasn't scored yet, but good goal scoring record in the last few years in the Bundesliga, and I think he can finally get those goals in the Premier League. He might miss out the first game against Brighton, but he should be able to play the rest of the games. But let's wait and see. If the injury develops, then there's not much we can do. Edouard to Jimenez. I'm not sure if I'd make that move this week, but that's something you could consider in Game Week 27 onwards. But the thing with Jimenez now, I talked about him being a skip in my transfer tips video. Now I'd be a bit more open-minded about him, and with that double later on for Wolves and some pretty good fixtures, I think Jimenez is a decent buy. I'm still not a huge fan of him this season, but he has been a really good prospect in recent seasons in Premier League, but not this year. Yeah, deadline stream. No, don't worry. The deadline stream is for tomorrow. But because of all the news today, I decided to do it on Friday, which actually sometimes we have been doing. But yeah, it's been a long time since we've done that. It's actually back to the good old days, you could say. Thoughts on Trent triple captain? I think if you're looking for a differential, something different than Salah, he's probably the next one I'd go to for sure. Would you rather have Van Dijk and Rafinha or Robertson and Dan James? Oh, that's tough. I mean, I prefer Robertson over Van Dijk, but then I prefer Rafinha over Dan James. Dan James has shown better form than Rafinha recently, so maybe would go for the second option, even if Dan James isn't going to be everyone's cup of tea. Foster to Ramsdale for a minus or not worth it? Long term, I think it's worth it. You don't have to necessarily do it this week. And also with the blank in 27, I'm not sure if you're going to free hit there, but I still think it's worth the hit, yeah. Saint-Maximin or Broja? Good question, actually. Saint-Maximin is right up there for FPL points scored by forwards. I still prefer Broja, but Saint-Maximin, he's definitely worth highlighting right now. Welcome, Mohammed. I have made a -20, unfortunately. What about making a bench boost? It depends on the quality of your bench. So let me know. Obviously, it's ultimately up to you, but I'll just offer my opinion of whether you should play the bench boost there. You could also consider using the wild card to cancel out those hits and also set your team up for future doubles. But yeah, it's very difficult to kind of navigate all of these doubles and blanks with a wild card right now. You could obviously free in 27 and it's not too bad anyway. Jota to Salah and Ronaldo to an 8.1 million striker, but which one? I'd probably go for Jimenez or Lacazette. If not, there is also Weghorst. Just between those three, I still like Weghorst and Broja a lot, actually. So they'd be my top two. Then it'd be Jimenez and Lacazette, actually. But then when you're looking at Arsenal, I do prefer Saka from an offensive point of view, and also Tierney and Ramsdale as your triple up. Wildcarding this week, triple captain Chelsea in the future. That's something I talked about in today's video about the wildcard. I'm not too keen on using it this week, but with this news, I think it's actually more appealing now. Yeah, I think so. Buy Saka and Son or Saka and Jimenez. Saka and Son for me, yeah, Sudhindra. Good chip strategy thoughts. I think there's different ways, and also it depends on your team. But one thing I was considering is using the triple captaincy this week on Salah. Then on Gameweek 27 and 30, that's when I'd use the free hits. And then the wildcard either in 28 or 31. As for the bench boost, whenever your bench looks good, and that could be in 29, it could be further on in the season. So let me know what you think of that. That's kind of a quick chip strategy, but you could also use the wildcard in 31 or later on. You could also maybe use the free hit in 30 and 33 and not use in 27. And you could possibly wildcard now. And I don't think there's a set straight formula. Thank you, Mango. Much appreciated. Is it worth bringing in a Burnley defender from -4? I still think it is, but I'd be more tempted by the Wolves defenders now with this news. I just asked the possibility for 1 day early deadline stream last week, and it happens. Yeah, and to be honest, I mean, I do like the Friday and Saturday deadline streams. I don't really have too much of a preference there. But with this news, I put a poll out, and most people voted for the Friday one, understandably. And so here we are. Should I go for Cornet from Gallagher for free? I think that's decent. 2 doubles in a row and some good fixtures. I think I would. Just bear in mind with Cornet, his stats have been very poor all season. So even when he was getting a lot of FPL points on a consistent basis, the stats were just absolutely poor. But I still think he's a decent player. Keep Bruno or take a -8 for some. Look, once again, just to kind of make it very simple, I don't think you need to take the hit. But if I were you, I would. That doesn't mean you have to. I think Bruno can do very well against Leeds. Foster and Gallagher out for Saka and Ramsdale -8. Yeah, and you can free hit in 27, Melvin. I think I'd look at something like that. Hey Dylan, Jota, KDB and Watkins out for Mane, Weghorst and Saka, -8 worth it. I think so. Mane could be a really good differential actually, but I still wouldn't go there. I'd rather have Son, and then that extra bit of money you can spread around the rest of your team. But that's still a really good set of transfers. I like Saka and Weghorst especially. Best midfielder for 5.9 million or less, except Cornet. Thinking of Smith Rowe, I'd probably say Ramsey. He's got a double as well in 28. Maybe not necessarily the best this week, but Ramsey, even Gordon look very enticing. Elise is also good as well. Martinelli when he comes back from suspension, but I think I'd definitely go for Ramsey there. Will Watkins start or will he get replaced by Ings? I think that could be a scenario where Watkins could. I'm not saying that he's now not going to be first choice striker, but Ings is going to take some minutes out of him. And yeah, Watkins' form has been very poor. I said porn. What's that? Okay, yeah, let's move on. Double Wolves defense this game week up until game week 30. Yes, I think so, because they don't blank in 30. They don't blank in 27 either. They've got doubles in 26 and also in 28. Yeah, I think Wolves look very good. So a double up. I mean, yeah, Jose Sarr and maybe Cody or any of these defenders I always bang on about. In terms of 2 Wolves defenders, I would try to balance out a bit. So maybe Tarkowski and Cody instead of having both. But that's still fine. I think Wolves offer great value. Best midfielder under 6.3 million. I think Saka's 6.4. So I would probably go for Cornet or Ramsey. I think Ramsey's probably the best of the lot once again. Is it worth a -12? Normally, you know me, I'm not really a big fan of hits, especially at -12s, -16s. But this week, I think it is possibly worth it. But you could also consider using the wildcard, cancel out those hits and make other transfers as well. But a -12 is worth it. It depends on the transfers as well, though. For some Weghorst and Coutinho, -4 versus Watkins Cornet duo. I do prefer Coutinho and Weghorst, but Cornet is still pretty good as well. 2 doubles in a row. Son or Coutinho? Different price points is difficult to compare. I think Son will score more points, but then you have to factor in the extra 3 million for him. I probably would go for Son, but I like Coutinho a lot as well. And maybe in terms of value, Coutinho would offer better there. Thank you, Ryan. New subscriber. Friday deadline streams are great for me and any other North American viewers. Okay, thank you very much. So I do want to kind of fit everyone's schedule as well, but it's very difficult to. But obviously, I'll keep that in mind. And if the possibility arises, I could also do Friday and Saturday, but let's wait and see. A reaction stream could happen tomorrow, actually, with everything that's happening today. So yeah, the reaction streams on Saturdays could be back as well, and it will be around the same time as this stream right now. So thank you very much for that feedback, and thank you for subscribing. Much appreciated. Sal Antonio or keep faith in Watkins? I'd still rather sell Antonio right now, but I'm not a big fan of Watkins either. I think I'd sell Antonio and you can go to Weghorst, you can go to Broja, who looks very good now. I only got 4 Double Gameweek 26 players. Should I bring Tierney or Saka? Good question. Oof. I think Saka's got the higher upside this week, so I probably would go for him. Long term, Tierney would be my preference out of the two. Should I bring Jimenez for Antonio with a -8? Yeah, I probably would. I'm not a big fan of Jimenez this season, but I probably would. Ramsdale or Jose Sarr? I have Tierney and Saka. I prefer Ramsdale, but Jose Sarr also looks especially good. And if you don't have a route to a Wolves defender, then it might make sense to go for Jose Sarr, Arthur. Triple captain Trent or Robertson? This is just a personal opinion here. I think Robertson might rotate with Tsimikas. I don't think it will necessarily happen in Game Week 26, but it could happen very soon. And I just think Trent is more nailed and he has no like-for-like replacement in that right-back spot. So I would go for Trent, and I also just prefer him as an asset. I don't want to go Salah, fair enough. I'd go for Trent there. But if you have a feeling about Robertson, go for him. Do you think a triple up on Arsenal and free at 27 is even stronger now? Definitely much stronger than it was before the news today. I think so, Lager, yeah. Hold one out of Foden, Antonio or Laporte. Oof. Hold one. I would rather hold Laporte, and if not Foden, I would sell Antonio. Is Diaz from Liverpool a good punt? I think so. If you're looking for a differential, Diaz would be right up there. But if I'm being honest, the triple up for Liverpool, it would be Trent, Robertson and Salah for me, especially on a wild card. But Diaz is also very good and you could go for him. But then when Jota comes back, and it shouldn't be too far off, so whether it's in Game Week 26 or 27 or 28, should we say, I think Jota will then be first choice. And then you've got Firmino as well. It's not that straightforward for Diaz, so he's just really good when he does start. Should I take a -4 to take out KDB for Son? I probably would, but then again, KDB could do very well against Tottenham as well, but I would go for Son. Ramsdale or Sarr? Ramsdale. Yeah, wasting that will happen very soon, don't worry, yeah. What to do with Jota? It's tough, isn't it? But the fact that he's now been ruled out for the first game, I think he's worth selling, yeah. Is there a UCL fantasy stream next week? Probably not. Obviously, if enough people want a stream, then I could make that happen. But in most cases, I don't think most people would want that. And we'll also be focusing on FPL and then UCL Fantasy Match Day 8 instead. What are your plans for 27, 28, 29, 30? Right now, I'm looking to free in 30 still, but I might use the other free hit because I have 2 available in 27. And I might wildcard in 28 or 31. As for 29, I don't think I would necessarily use a chip, but it could be the bench boost. So that's kind of my plan there, Anas. Davis to Gabriel for free, and is Odegaard worth it in for release for a -4? I wouldn't bring Odegaard in. Yeah, I would rather have Ramsey if you were to bring someone very cheap. Antonio to Jimenez worth a -4. Yes, I think that is worth a -4. And I like Davis to Gabriel. I still like that, even though you could keep Davis as well. Should I bring Saka in for Bowen for a -8? I wouldn't get rid of Bowen. I know he's got no doubles, but Bowen's so good right now, I wouldn't get rid of him. Yeah, Ramsdale will be my preference over Sarr, but I like both. Start Bowen or Broja. Really confused. Broja has the fixture, but Bowen has the form. Well, in 26, you would argue Bowen also has the fixture, even though Newcastle have improved recently. I'd go for Bowen. Should I take out Jota, DCL, Martinelli for Rafinha, Weghorst and Saka? I think those transfers look good. So yeah, you could also consider Coutinho instead of Rafinha. That's also another thing you could do. He's got a double in 28, but I like that. Start Webster or play double City defence against Spurs? Good question, actually. Yeah, I would play Cancelo for sure, and then I might actually be tempted to go for Webster, but the last few times that Brighton have played Burnley, not too many clean sheets there. That's what would put me off a little bit. But yeah, I might go for Webster. Should I hold on to KDB? I don't think you need to get rid of him, but I probably would sell him for Son if I were you, but obviously you don't have to do what I do. Thoughts on Salah, Son, Saka, Jimenez, Weghorst, all in for Bruno, Jota, Martinelli, Antonio, Ronaldo from -16. I like the transfers, and a -16 obviously in most weeks looks very excessive, but I understand why you're doing it, and it looks decent, actually, yeah. Dennis, Elise, Ramsey and 8 Nuri, which two to play? Oof. This week I would play Dennis and 8 Nuri just for the doubles. Yeah, I'd probably do that. Rafinha or Ward-Prowse, no free hit in 27. Right now I'd actually lean more towards Ward-Prowse, but both are good and we shouldn't discard Rafinha. Weghorst confirmed to start? No. Sean Dyche basically was talking about the first game against Brighton and Weghorst could make that one, but he didn't say he definitely will, and he was basically saying the injury isn't too serious. I think he will start, but he's not confirmed to. Dawson to Tierney or Reguilon to Tierney? Well, Reguilon, it looks like he's a bit doubtful to play in Game Week 26. but I would still probably get rid of Dawson. Best Jota replacement, I have Salah, Bowen, Saka and Rafinha. Can't afford Sonny. I probably would say Coutinho, so it might not pay off necessarily in Gameweek 26, but in Gameweek 28 and beyond, it looks good. Coutinho or Digne, who to start? I probably would go for Coutinho, yeah. Which Jota replacement is up there if we have Salah already? Son, and if you can't afford it, I would look to Coutinho, if not Saka. That's kind of how I'd break it down. Cancelo to Robertson, I wouldn't get rid of Cancelo. When are you using your free hits? Yeah, as I talked about before, I'm probably using in 30 and either 27 or 33. But yeah, I've got 2 free hits. One of them will most likely be used in 30. The other one, I'm still kind of open-minded about. Lloris or Ramsdale for me. Start Cancelo or Digne, I'd start Cancelo. So now let's actually go through a bit of a little process. We're going to go through all of these different teams. And by the way, if you haven't already, smash the like button and subscribe if you're new. It'd be much appreciated. We are going to now go through all of these different teams and talk about the best players for all of these teams that are doubling in 28 and 29. So let's get this up now. And here we go. So from Aston Villa, not really too much of a surprise. I would go for Coutinho, and the others are Jacob Ramsey and Digne. In terms of value for money, I think Ramsey would probably be the best one, but Coutinho looks especially appealing now with a really good fixture against Watford. 27 is not too bad, and a double in 28, so I think Coutinho looks really, really good. And his stats are decent. He's only played 4 games, and 4 shots in the box, an XG of just under 1, an XA of over 1, 1 big chance and 2 big chances created, so pretty encouraging stats, 2 goals and 2 assists, and I think he could actually be very good, and maybe better than Saka, although that is up for debate. But I probably would say Ramsey, if you're looking for a budget midfielder, so someone under 6 million, I think Ramsey, you have to factor him into your plans. But yeah, these fixtures look pretty decent, and that double is very good actually. Leeds away and Southampton at home is fantastic in my opinion. So that's Coutinho there. Now let's move on to Leeds, and honestly the only player I'd consider is Rafinha. If you want a differential, there is Harrison and Daniel James. Daniel James would be my preference of the two, but overall it is Rafinha despite his recent form, which has been pretty poor, but good stats across the season, nothing spectacular. I always talk about this with Rafinha. The shot volume is something that is very, it's worth highlighting because in recent seasons he hasn't really done that. But here we go. I think from Leeds, I wouldn't overcomplicate it. Rafinha or nothing. I definitely wouldn't go for the defenders. The double in 26 is pretty poor. The double in 28 is okay actually. Leicester is a good fixture and Aston Villa is not too bad either. And then a good fixture against Norwich at home in 29 despite the Canaries' improvement. So let me know what you think are the best players for Aston Villa and Leeds, as well as all the teams that are doubling in 28 and 29. So that is Leeds covered as well. Now we're going to Newcastle. Saint-Maximin, I think if you're looking for a striker other than Broja, Saint-Maximin might be one of the standouts now. His stats are pretty decent as well. 5 goals, 5 assists. He's right up there for forwards this season. And 5 big chances created, and that matches his goals and assists. The same goes for the XG and XA, so fairly sustainable. And Brentford in 27 is a good fixture. A good double in 28 and 29. Newcastle, the only team that are doubling in 28 and 29. And then a decent fixture against Palace in 30. So I think Saint-Maximin's good. And if you want someone else, Dubravka at 4.4. And then there's also Trippier. I think they all look pretty good. I'm not a big fan of Newcastle defence, but Saint-Maximin would be the highlight for me. And I would trust Newcastle's attack a little bit more than the defence. But they have improved a lot recently under Eddie Howe, so that's for sure. Yeah, welcome Melvin, welcome Genius Gamer. Jota to Son or Saka this game week? I prefer Son, but Saka's still very good. You also have to factor in that they're both completely different price points. I sold Rafinha for Ward-Prowse. I don't like Rafi coming off at the half versus Everton. Yeah, apparently it was a tactical switch according to Marcelo Bielsa, but yeah, I still think Rafinha's a good option, but Ward-Prowse will be my preference right now. Harrison is a fraud. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, he was really good last season, but yeah, this season only, I think, one game where he did very well. Yeah, James Ward-Prowse. Yeah, I'm going to be talking about Southampton very soon. Don't you worry. So, yeah, we've done Newcastle as well. We've done the first 3 teams. And now, here we go. Ward-Prowse, speak of the devil. So, Ward-Prowse, Broja, then possibly Che Adams. But for me, it's Ward-Prowse and Broja. Those are the 2 players you really want. Livramento, if he can get back into the team, looks very good. but I'm not sure if that's going to be the case. But Ward-Prowse, the stats are actually pretty poor, at least from the creative perspective, but still very good goal output, and I think he could do very well. Key passes 42, that's pretty decent. And ignore the stats a little bit sometimes. With Ward-Prowse, he's shown a lot of consistency since December. Just bear in mind there is a degree of unsustainability towards the numbers. Broja, probably the standout. I think he'll be in most people's teams, especially if people are wildcarding in 26 or 28. But Ward-Prowse, not really spoken about enough. I think he deserves more mentions. And there you go. Finally, we talked about Ward-Prowse. Yeah, the stats aren't great though. Now let's move on to Watford. Yeah, Watford. Good old Watford. Not a big fan of them, but Ben Foster, Dennis, and maybe Joshua King, João Pedro. You're looking at these. Dennis is the best outfield player, though, for me. And the stats, okay. The goal output has been very good, but it has definitely dried up over the last 7 game weeks. 40 shots overall, 32 in the box, 4 big chances, and 6 big chances created. But yeah, we need more from Dennis. Hopefully he can prove himself in Game Week 26. But yeah, Ben Foster, if you have him, I don't think you need to necessarily get rid of him. My ideal goalkeeper duo would be Sanchez and Ramsdale. Then there's also Jose Sarr, who looks very good as well. So Watford is probably the team I look at here and I'm the least confident about right now. So here we go with Wolves. I always talk about the defenders. You already know all of them. If you're looking for a like-for-like Cucurella replacement or Reguilon, I think Saiss is the guy. If you want someone a bit cheaper, you've got Cody, Kilman, and also Aït-Nouri. I think all 3 of them offer insane value. Jose Sarr in goal is fantastic. And up front, Raul Jimenez. Even though I said he's a skip and I'm not a big fan of him, I think he's definitely worth considering with these doubles. And that looks pretty good actually. So Saiss, in my opinion, is the best offensively from these defenders at your disposal. 11 shots in the box in 21 appearances for a centre-back is nothing to be snuffed at. And now let's move on to Arsenal. Saka, Tierney, Ramsdale, they're probably the best. Lacazette up front, if you're looking for someone there with plenty of double game weeks. Just bear in mind Arsenal do blank in 27, but some pretty good fixtures nonetheless. And other than Liverpool and maybe Chelsea, which will happen at some point, we're going to see when that game will be rescheduled to. Arsenal have some fantastic fixtures to finish off the season. So yeah, Tierney would probably be my ideal defender, but there's also Tomiyasu and White. Gabriel as well. I don't think he gets enough mentions as well. I probably should talk about him more. I think Gabriel, he's got more points than Tierney as well, so you probably should consider him. And if you you don't want to go for Tierney or Ben White or Tomiyasu, Gabriel is probably the standout there. So moving on, we already talked about Saka in the transfer tips. Ramsdale for me is the best goalkeeper in the game. Here we go, Brighton. I wouldn't actually bring in any Brighton players, really, because that double in 29 isn't that great. Brighton have good fixtures until 28, but then look at that after. From Game Week 29 onwards, Tottenham, Liverpool, Man City, some poor fixtures, but Maupay looks decent. Doesn't really get too many bonus points, but at least he's showing a bit of form. You've got Cucurella, Lamptey and Sanchez. I wouldn't really look for anyone else. Maybe Webster, but Trossard and all these midfielders like McAllister, it's a no-go for me. I wouldn't go for them, and I wouldn't really be in a rush to bring any of these Brighton assets in. And now here we go with Everton. Anthony Gordon, if you already have Ramsey or if you want to go for someone else, Gordon's probably the best budget midfielder. Then you've got Calvert-Lewin, Gray and Richarlison if they actually show a bit of form. I don't trust Everton's defence, so I wouldn't really recommend anyone there. Gordon's stats aren't necessarily too great, but he has shown some consistency. He's getting a lot of starts as well. That's all very encouraging. And that double in 29, just to double check, in 29 looks very, very good. And then with Liverpool, we know the names already. Robertson, Salah, Trent. If you want to go a bit different, there is Firmino for this game week and also Diaz. Jota, when he comes back, is still very good, but I think it is the time to sell really with him missing out the first game against Norwich and then also in 27 he's blanking. He might even miss the second game against Leeds. So yeah, with Jota, it's a bit of a difficult one, but Robertson, Trent, Salah, that is the triple up and it looks very good. Even though the double in 29 doesn't look great, both away fixtures as well, I still think a triple up in Liverpool is a viable option. The only concern I really have is the blank in 27, but you can easily navigate that with a free hit. And then lastly, Spurs. This is where I'm struggling to really get to free players to recommend, but Son and Kane are always up there. Son offers the best value. And in defence, you could go for Davis. I think when everyone's back, so when Dyer comes back, it could be Dyer, Romero and Davis as the free centre-back. So Sanchez could actually drop to the bench. That's something to think about. Reguilon has kind of been on and off, especially with his fitness. So probably wouldn't go near him. Emerson's been pretty terrible recently. So yeah, just keep it simple with Spurs. A bit similar to Leeds actually. Probably just go for Son, but if you can afford a striker like Kane, he could also be pretty decent for you. So that's kind of a little cover-up, a mini cover-up of all these teams that have a double in 28 and 29. And I talked about the best players for each of these teams. We're now going to go back to your questions as well, and I'll still be talking about all of these teams. I'll actually highlight the fixtures. For anyone who's not aware, I'll talk about the fixtures as well, and that's very important as well. So let's go back to my team. And in terms of my plans for my own team, I might just keep things as they are. I already took a -8. I brought in Weghorst. I also brought in Salah. And also, trying to remember the third one actually. Yeah, Heung-min Son for Damari Gray, Bruno Fernandes and Ronaldo. Yeah, there might be an additional hit by the end of the deadline. I don't think I'm going to wildcard. Triple captain on Salah is firmly set. And in terms of the chip strategy going forwards, I'm looking to potentially use that free hit in 27, also 30, and the wildcard could be deployed in 28 or 31, with the bench boost kind of being a possibility in any game week, especially game week 29 or further down the line. So that's kind of my plans there. Let's go back to your questions and see what you lot are saying. Thank you, Aidan. Podence, yeah, I think if you're looking for a midfielder, that's actually not a bad shout, but with the amount of midfielders at your disposal, I'm not too sure, because you've got Coutinho, Son, Ramsey, Salah. I think there's just too many to choose from, so I'm not too convinced, as in I wouldn't go for him myself, but I think that's not a bad shout actually. And he's shown some very good form. Against Spurs, he was very good. And also Arsenal. Best Jota and Ronaldo replacements. I think for Jota, you're looking at Coutinho or Saka. And for Ronaldo, probably Weghorst or Broja. I know it's kind of different price brackets. You've got a lot of money left in the bank. Another thing you could do is get Son in for Jota. And then one of those strikers I said. Tierney or Saiss. I actually prefer Saiss, but I like both of them. I bought Ward-Prowse for the 4% ownership and the points potential. Yeah, and that's quite high actually. And he gets quite a lot of bonus points when he gets the returns. Hey Dylan, could you rank these players? Ramsey, Laporte, Foden, Dennis. Oof. Because of the double, I would rank Dennis first. Then it would be Ramsey. Then Foden, then Laporte. Tierney plus Sarr or Ramsdale plus Saiss over the coming game weeks. I think both are fine, but I probably would go for Ramsdale and Saiss. Also, thoughts on JWP? Yeah, I literally just spoke about them. If you rewind the stream a little bit, I talked about every single team that doubles in 28 and 29. And for Aston Villa, Coutinho, Ramsey and Digne are the highlights for me. I wouldn't go for the strikers. And also for JWP, I think he's probably the second best Southampton player you can get, other than Broja. Dyer is available, yeah. So I think that could be a possibility with Sanchez dropping to the bench. But thank you for that, Lager. Play one, Broja or Digne? Oof, that's a good question, actually. I'd be a bit conflicted there. I might lean towards Broja and the attacker. Start Laporte or Coutinho? Coutinho. Jota will play. Well, he was ruled out for the first game against Norwich, but he could play against Leeds, yeah. Jota to Son or Saka this game week? I prefer Son, but I like both. Dylan, you should wildcard. You can get ahead of the curve here and just plan ahead. Also avoid the hits you took this game week or planning to take another one. I mean, look, I'm not going to completely discredit it, but right now I just think, you know what, I'm not too sure if it's the best choice in my situation to wildcard. It's just too many things to navigate as well. I could free it in 27, just stack on Arsenal players as well, but their double in 29 isn't necessarily that great. So just to remind all of you in terms of the doubles, so in Game Week 28, Aston Villa face Southampton and Leeds. Leeds face Leicester and Aston Villa. Newcastle face Brighton and Southampton. Southampton face Aston Villa and Newcastle. Watford face Arsenal and Wolves. Wolves face Palace and Watford. So just to kind of recap, the teams that are doubling in 28 are Aston Villa, Leeds, Newcastle, Southampton, Watford and Wolves. In 29, Arsenal have a double against Leicester and Liverpool. Brighton face Liverpool and Spurs. Everton face Wolves and Newcastle. Liverpool face Brighton and Arsenal. Newcastle face Chelsea and Everton. And Spurs face United and Brighton. So to recap, in 29, Arsenal, Brighton, Everton, Liverpool, Newcastle and Spurs all have a double in 29. And Newcastle are the only team to double in 28 and 29. And then several teams such as Leeds, Watford and Wolves who double in 28, they also double in 26. And in 29, Arsenal also double in 26. Also, let's just kind of go through this quickly. Yeah, Liverpool and Spurs. So I think quite a lot of the players we already have, we kind of already set for these doubles in 28 and 29, but maybe not fully. And it's difficult to kind of attack every single game week and be in a great position, but it's still possible to navigate most of these game weeks pretty smoothly. Robertson or Van Dijk? Robertson for me. Thank you, Ben. Much appreciated. Is this a good bench boost? Pope, Cancelo, Bowen and Digne? I think it is, yeah. So all single game weekers, you might have more opportunities later on in the season where you've got quite a lot of doublers actually on your bench, maybe even better players, but it's a good bench, yeah. Already have Ramsey and Smith Rowe, so who should I get to replace Jota? I'd go for Coutinho or Saka. Yeah, I probably would go for one of them. If you aren't really too keen on doubling up on either of those teams, which I can understand, you could go for Rafinha, but yeah, it's a bit of a difficult one there. Start Cucurella or Rudiger? I'd probably go for Rudiger. Force and Fernandes and Edouard to Saka and Jimenez for a -4 because I have Elise in my team already. Yeah, I like those set of transfers, Sidindra, yeah. And I can understand that. Yeah, I think that's good. Hey Dylan, hope you're doing well. Who would you rather play, Foden or Cancelo? Cancelo, and thank you very much. Abdelayla, hopefully you're doing well as well. Start Eric Dyer or Cancelo? Cancelo all day long. Saka or Odegaard? Saka. Coutinho or Broja? Who to start? Coutinho. Start Cucurella, Rudiger? Yeah, Rudiger, mate. Lacazette, Podence or Saka Jimenez? Saka Jimenez would be my preference, Fadzil, yeah. Hey Dylan, what to do with Gallagher? Only Palace asset in my team. Is it worth starting him if he only plays one game this week? He could do well against Watford. I actually spoke about selling him in my last transfer tips video, but yeah, if you do decide to keep him, I probably would start him, but it depends who you bench at his expense, yeah. I already have Smith, yeah, I already answered that. Bruno, Jota, Gray, and Antonio to Salah, Son, Saka, and Verkhorst -8. Yeah, I like those transfers. I think that's pretty solid, and it sets you up for multiple game weeks. Antonio or James Ward-Prowse? I mean, Antonio has a good fixture, but yeah, if you're looking at form, it has to be Ward-Prowse. It's difficult, though. Antonio could finally haul, you never know, but that is tough. I still think I'd go for Antonio, but if you're looking at form, it has to be Ward-Prowse. Play Ramsey, Dennis or Aït-Nouri? I'd go for Aït-Nouri. Sidindra, yeah. Gameweek 28 wildcard, and then we can just focus on 26 and 27. That's what I'm looking to do right now, Andy. So triple captain in 26, and in 27 potentially free hit. If not, that's fine. And in 28 I might wildcard, if not 31. But I'm trying to keep my options open, but at the same time, yeah, wildcard in 26, I'm not too sure. Not in my case anyway. Hi Dylan, start Digne or Edouard? I'd go for Edouard, Yuki. Keep Bruno or -8 hit for Son? I'd go for the -8 for Son, but you don't have to. Is Firmino worth transferring in? The thing is, Jota should be back fairly soon, and there's also the issue of Diaz, Mane and Salah. So Firmino, I'm not too sure if he actually starts both games in 26, and going, you know, into the future in 28 onwards, I'm not really a big fan, so I probably wouldn't go for him. Bench boost with Sanchez, Foden, Dennis, Digne or triple captain Salah? It's a good bench, but I would triple captain Salah. Is Jota missing both games? The second game, he could still make that, but the first game, he's pretty much ruled out against Norwich. But against Leeds, he could actually be available. But it's going to be a race against time. It's going to be difficult. So, Tan says, Cucurella, Reguilon to Robertson or Tierney. We already have 2 Liverpool and 2 Arsenal players. I probably would... That's tough. Based on all the issues of Reguilon, I'd probably sell him for Robertson. Thinking of transferring out either Eduardo De Gea for Saint-Maximin or Sarr. I'm not a big fan of goalkeeper transfers, but I probably would go for De Gea to Sarr. I think that's the best long-term transfer, but Eduardo to Saint-Maximin isn't bad either. Saka for Bruno, yeah, that's a good transfer, and that gives you plenty of money to invest in the rest of your squad. Gameweek 26 wildcard to save the -16 I was planning. Free hit 27. Bench boost 28, triple captain 29, Salah set up nicely till Gameweek 31, second free and 33 or 36. That's a good plan, Jefferson. That's what I mean. There's no set way to go about it. I think it depends on your team, and that looks pretty solid actually. And it cancels out a -16, so that makes sense. Forcing the -8, Jacob Ramsey to Cornet and KDB to Son. Honestly, I wouldn't get rid of Ramsey because he has a double in 28, and I prefer him over Cornet. So KDB to Son looks good. I'd probably do that. Welcome. Hello, sir. Would you transfer Foden out for Saka for a hit? Thinking how it could affect me long term. Yeah, if not, go for Coutinho, even though is it really worth a hit this week? You might as well do that in a few weeks' time. But yeah, I think that's a good transfer. And in terms of how it affects you long term, it means, well, you're going to free in 27 anyway, but you've got someone else who doubles in 29. Arsenal's fixtures aren't that great in 29, but they've got great fixtures until the rest of the season. Weghorst or Brozier to play. I'd go for Weghorst and back to Double Gameweeker, assuming he is actually fit in time to face Brighton. Hi Dylan, thoughts on free at 27, wildcard 28 and free hit 33 later on. I think it also looks good. It's very similar to what I'm looking to do. I'm looking to free hit in 30 and possibly 33 or 27, but I'm open-minded about the free hits, and wildcard in 28 or 31. I think that looks fine. And with Gameweek 28, there's plenty of fixture swings, so that is a very good opportunity. Thank you very much, Sudindra. Much appreciated. 8 Nuri or Cody? Cody's more nailed, and it might just be the safer pick, but 8 Nuri offers better value. I guess I'd go for him, but very, very little in it. Start Digne or Watkins? I'd actually start Digne right now. Start De Gea or Foster? I'd go for Foster under Double Gameweeker. De Gea to Ramsdale? Yep, that looks like a good transfer. Start Cancelo or Digne? Cancelo. Hello mate, for someone free hitting in 27, Tierney or Robertson? Don't have any Arsenal defenders. I'm not sure whether Robert will rotate. Yeah, good point. I still would go for Robertson, but because you have no Arsenal coverage, it does make sense to go for Tierney, and it also saves you a bit of money. But I personally think Robertson will start both games, but I wouldn't be surprised if Tsimikas were to steal one game, whether it's in 26 or in 28. So I can understand your dilemma. I'd still go for Robertson though. And you can get Ramsdale in goal if you have a free transfer available to spare in goal. Start Cancelo 8 Nuri. I'd go for 8 Nuri, I guess, but Cancelo being benched even against Tottenham is not ideal. Thoughts on Pope? I would rather cover Burnley defence with Tarkowski and me. I talked about this in my transfer tips video as well, but he's not bad. He's not a bad option. In goal though, Sanchez and Ramsdale combine very well. I'd go for those two. Who would you bench out of Edouard, King, Cancelo and Rafinha this week? Oh, that's a tough question. Probably King actually, but a penalty could easily change his fortunes and he could score. I just got Robertson for Jota. That's a good transfer. Would you keep KDB if you already had Salah? Other mids are Ramsey, Bowen, Jota replacing as well. Well, I would probably rather sell Jota. There is the possibility that he starts the second game and does very well, but most people would sell him in 27 anyway. That was my initial plan before his injury against Inter Milan. So, yeah, I think you could keep KDB for now. Laporte and Jota to Saka and Robertson for a -8. Yeah, that looks good as well. Do you like Reguilon, KDB, Jota and Antonio to Robertson, Saka, Salah and Weghorst for a -12? I actually do. Normally, I kind of find holes in all of these transfers or, I offer my own suggestions, but they all look very good actually. Triple up on Arsenal. I don't think you need to necessarily. A double up is fine. But yeah, a triple up's not a bad idea either, but I think 2 is the sweet spot. Antonio to Weghorst or Brozier? With the double confirmed now, I honestly prefer Brozier, but Weghorst has 2 doubles in a row. You could prioritise Weghorst first, then bring Brozier in next week. Cornet and Van Dijk or Robertson and Saka from -4. Robertson and Saka. Yeah, that will be my preference. White will play this game week or sell him? I think he will play, yeah. He's very nailed in Arsenal's defence. Who would you bench boost? Oh, yeah, I already answered that, Emon. I would bench King. Bednarek will play? Yes, I think so, but I wouldn't go for him. Trippier, Salah. Oh, triple captain Salah or not? I would triple captain him, yes. Jota for Saka, Fernandes for Salah, -4 is... Oh, is it lit? Yeah. Yeah, just kind of processing the transfers. Yeah, I think it does, yeah. Maximum hits you would take for this week? I'm not sure. It's kind of a different week than most with all the doubles in the future and also the double we have upon us. Maybe a -16. And normally I don't say that, but yeah, I don't think it's necessarily the worst idea to take a -12 this week, for example. Will Smith Rowe play this week? Yes. With Martinelli suspended, I think Smith Rowe will play. I'm not sure if that will be the case in the second game in the double. I took a -12 to do Ronaldo to Weghorst, Sissoko to Salah, Bruno to Son, and Jota to Cornet. Thoughts? I would have rather gone for Saka potentially or Ramsey or Coutinho instead of Cornet, but it looks good. To Salah, Bruno to Son, and Jota to... Yeah, it still looks really good though, and I like the Salah and Son transfers especially. Also Weghorst. Start 1, King or Brozier? In this case, I would start King. Welcome, Mohammed. How's it going, mate? Thoughts on my team and should I wildcard or take a hit? Okay, so I don't think you need to wildcard this week. And yeah, you've got 2 free transfers. Look, you could even take a -8 or -12. You could literally have a mini wildcard in essence, and you're not even taking that many hits. So I probably would just focus on making transfers and taking a few hits, Mohamed. Get rid of Maddison or Jota for Salah? Probably Jota. Yeah, because of the injury. But then again, if you think he's going to start the second game against Leeds, you could just keep him, sell Maddison, and sell Jota in 27. Is Weghorst a very good option? I don't think he's a very good option, but he's one of the better ones right now up front. Would you do Antonio to Weghorst or Fernandes to Son? This week, I'd rather do Antonio to Weghorst. Also, it gives you a double in 27. You can always get Son a bit later on. Benching Dennis is a mistake. Maybe, but either way, if Jota misses out both games, Dennis comes on, and I just don't see who I bench in his place. You could argue Edouard, Rafinha, Jota himself, or Weghorst, or even Jarrod Bowen, but I'm not going to go there. Saka and Cornet for a -8. Yeah, that looks good. Coutinho would be my preference over Cornet, and to cover Burnley, maybe go for Weghorst, but that looks good. Bench boost to Hare, Sufal, King, and Dennis. That's a decent bench, but I would still rather triple captain Salah. Kind of a personal opinion there. Do you think Aït-Nouri starts both games this week? I think he does, but there is the possibility he gets benched in one of them or in 27 or 28. So I wouldn't be surprised if that were the case, and that's why you could argue going for Cody just eliminates that doubt in your mind. Same goes for Kilman. Yes, Sporton, Tomiyasu should be fine. He's in contention to start. Arteta said it himself, and he's been training in the last few days. And thank you very much for your comment. Much appreciated. Is Weghorst a very good option? Yeah, once again, I don't think he's a very good option, and I answered that last part. Broja or Jimenez? I prefer Broja. As for this week, I would start Jimenez, but long term, I prefer Broja. Robertson, Zaha, or Cornet to Diaz, Jota for a -8. Robertson, Zaha, but I'm not that big of a fan of Zaha. Who do you see getting more points this game week, Saka or Son? That's a good question. If you're looking at the fixtures, Saka does look better, but I still think Son. Thank you, Isaac. Is Weghorst fit? He's in contention to start against Brighton, but I think he will be fit, yeah. But that doesn't mean he definitely will be, so yeah, we'll wait and see. Should I keep Ronaldo or buy Lacazette? He is facing Leeds, but yeah, you could get ahead of the curve, get some double game week strikers like Weghorst, Lacazette, Jimenez, etc. I probably would get the double game weeker, but yeah, I'm not too keen on Lacazette despite these doubles. No, I haven't used the bench boost rock and roll. I've only used the first wild card. I haven't used any other chips, so I've got everything available. Downgrade Foden to Cornet. That's not a bad shout. There's also Coutinho or Saka as well. Matip will play 2 games. I'm not too sure about that. I think maybe 1. And even if he plays both of these in 28, I just don't know if he's going to start. I don't think he's that nailed. What do you think of the Champions League? Did you take a look at the Epic Europa League? Europa League, just the results. And Champions League, yeah, I really liked the Real Madrid PSG game. And yeah, I was quite happy with it. UCL Fantasy went pretty well. But yeah, Lewandowski blanking, that's a surprise. And City look like the best team right now. CR7 out, Laka, Broja or Watkins in? Broja for me long term, the best. Monty Brown, yeah. Is Saiss completely nailed? I think so. Maybe you could argue Cody or Kilman are a bit more nailed, but Saiss for me is fairly nailed, and I think he's the best one. Remove Jota for Saka and Dawson for Van Dijk. I prefer Robertson, but I'm guessing you can't afford him. Van Dijk's not a bad shout, but I probably would go for someone else. Maybe a Wolves defender instead. Did a -4 with 2 free transfers, Laka, Salah and Tierney in for Jota, Ronaldo and Diaz. That looks good, Mohit. That looks good. I like those transfers. And quite a lot of people selling Jota and Ronaldo already. Any new double games announced? Just the ones from earlier today, 28 and 29. So just to recap, I can read this out again. So Aston Villa, Leeds, Newcastle, Southampton, Watford and Wolves, they all have doubles. And in 29, Arsenal, Brighton, Everton, Liverpool, Newcastle and Spurs all have doubles. So that's pretty much it. I'm going to actually try to... I'll try to maybe get this up for you. So yeah, let's actually show you the doubles right here. So these are the Game Week 28 fixtures. These are all of them in its entirety. So take a look. As you can see, Leeds there doubling and all of that. Already just talked about it. And some pretty good fixtures for some teams. Newcastle have doubles in 28 and 29. I'm going to show you the 29 fixtures very soon as well. Who is the best striker to get? Already have Edouard and Broja. I think Broja's the best. Obviously you have him, so I would go for Weghorst. But I'm not a big fan of the strikers. Lacazette, a good option. He's decent. I prefer Saka and also Tierney and Ramsdale as a triple up if you were to go that way. And up front, you can also go for Jimenez, Verkhorst, Broja, and a few others like Edouard. But Lacazette is a good option. Wildcard now and triple later. Could have a lot of double game weeks in 28 and 29. Yeah, that's not a bad shout either, but then I'm not that big of a fan of the triple captain later down the line. But yeah, it's good to be open-minded, and in your team and your situation, it might make more sense to wildcard now. Why do people think Rafinha's a good option this week? Well, the double is pretty poor, but United isn't that bad of a fixture. And yeah, I mean, with Rafinha, he's not really someone I would free hit in this week or even bring in ahead of Game Week 26, but he's also got a double later on and some good fixtures. In 29, he faces Norwich. But yeah, I agree. In 26, he's not the best. Is Sterling the best Man City midfielder? I still think De Bruyne, but in recent weeks, Sterling has been fantastic, and even in the Champions League, he showed his class. Lacazette versus Verkhorst, I would go for Verkhorst, and it gives you more money. You can also cover Arsenal with Saka. But Lacazette's not bad. Digne or Laporte to size for a -4? Laporte, because Digne's got a double very soon in 28, and if you already got Cancelo, that's fine. But then again, City have the best defence in the league, and doubling up on them gives you that advantage. So it's not an easy question to answer, but because of the doubles and all these fixtures, I probably would sell Laporte there. What do you think are the ideal 5 midfielders for the upcoming game weeks? Good question. Salah, no doubt about it. I'd probably go for Son, Saka, Coutinho and Ramsey. I think that would be my 5, something like that. There is Bowen as well, who's got no doubles, but he's just so good. So you could replace one of those midfielders like Saka or Coutinho instead. So I'd probably do that. Wildcard this week and triple captain Salah in Game Week 29. Not a bad idea, but the double in 29 isn't that good. Then again, Salah showed his class against United. You know, I think that was his biggest haul of the season, and the fixture difficulty was quite difficult on paper. So look, it's not a bad shout. I still prefer triple captaining this week, but it's good to be open-minded. Start De Gea or Foster this week. Whoever hit to take out Jota for another double game week player? I think so, Alvin, yeah. Saka or Smith Rowe? Saka all day long for me. This is my first FPL and a triple captain in Game Week 1. Well, we live and learn anyway, and sometimes triple captaining in Game Week 1 works out very well. You know, Salah in the last few years has produced some big hauls in Game Week 1. Maddison out or Jota out for Salah? Probably Jota, but then again, if you think Jota's going to start the second game, as I told you before, I'd just get rid of Maddison and sell Jota next week. Thank you, John. Much appreciated. Thank you, Sudindra, as well. Thoughts on a -16 to do De Gea, Dawson, Foden, Jota, Ronaldo to Ramsdale, Saiz, Rafinha, Jimenez. I like those moves. I would prefer Verkhorst instead of Jimenez. I'll free at 27, and Arsenal Wolves assets allow me to target double game at 28 and 29 as well, and don't need to free hit in 30. That's good, and it's good to have a plan in game week 30. That's going to be a big blank, and already preparing for that, it does eliminate the need to use the free hit that week, so that looks good. Firmino just for this game week, on a free hit I would consider it, but I still wouldn't bring him in. He's a good option for game week 26, but I'm not sure if he even starts both games. Do you think Smith Rowe and Odegaard will start both games? I think one of them will miss out the second game when Martinelli returns, and it might be Smith Rowe based on what we've seen recently. Tierney worth a -4? Yes, he is. Also Van Dijk or Robertson? Robertson all day long for me. Rate my team: Ramsdale, White, Trent, Cancelo, Salah, captain, triple captain, Son, Bowen, Saka, Jimenez, Dennis, Verkhorst. It's a good team. If you want a rating, an 8 out of 10, I guess, for this week. And it looks pretty solid, actually. And I think you've only got 2 single game weekers. Yeah, in Cancelo and Bowen, and they look pretty good as well. Bowen not in the 5 ideal midfielders. It's a tough one. I think if you're trying to maximise the doubles, then no. But Bowen's just probably the best other than Salah right now in midfield. So you could go for Bowen, Salah, Son, Coutinho, and then maybe Jacob Ramsey. It's up to you, really. And I already talked about Bowen after that. I think this is the most doubles they will get. Best to use triple captain or bench boost. Yeah, true. I mean, there's quite a lot to think about and wrap our heads around, and we've got the blanks as well in 30 and 27, but yeah, I think there's going to be different ways to skin the cat. Yeah, Ashraf, already answered your question. I would remove Jota for Saka and Dawson for Van Dijk. I'm not a big fan of Van Dijk, but it's a good set of transfers, and I would rather go for a Wolves defender instead of Van Dijk. Yeah, I would start Foster over De Gea. Gone for Luis Diaz, punt for Jota, fair enough. Hopefully it pays off, and you might get rid of him in a few weeks anyway, but it could do very well in Gameweek 26. Start 1, Cancelo, Webster, Digne. Cancelo. Are we sleeping on James Ward-Prowse? I actually mentioned him earlier, and I can bring him up once again on screen, but yeah, I talked about him as being probably the best Southampton player to go for other than Broja. So yeah, and as for this, these are the Gameweek 29 doubles, and just below is Everton versus Newcastle. So yeah, there you go. That's all the doubles there for you. And I will, once again, if you want, I can show you quickly the players I talked about for each team that are doubling in 28 and 29 that I recommend. So yeah. So we've got 200 people watching. Thank you very much. If you haven't already, smash the like button and subscribe for me. It'd be much appreciated. There's so much to talk about. And yeah, I mean, we're just getting started really. So it's nearly 8 o'clock UK time. And it's going to be a hectic deadline tomorrow, I think. But it's good that we have a bit of time to plan these moves and our chip strategies ahead of that deadline. Chelsea have some good fixtures. So best Chelsea players to bring in. I think it's more to keep an eye on, not bring them in right now. But the best ones, Rudiger, maybe Lukaku. Other than that, I'm still not a big fan of Alonso right now. I think Hudson-Odoi could take some minutes out of him. Azpilicueta until Reece James comes back, and obviously Reece James would be a standout, but Rudiger for me is probably the best one. Bruno to Son for -4. Do you think Son would outscore Bruno by 4? I think the hit pays off anyway in the long term, so maybe it doesn't pay off this week and he doesn't outscore him by 4, but it will in the long term. Start 1, Saiss, Barnes, Broja. Yeah, Saiss. Should I make my transfers today? Yeah, or tomorrow morning? Whatever suits you, really. I don't think we'll get any more news. Hopefully I haven't jinxed it there, but yeah. What do you think about free hitting next week? I think it's more of a viable option in my case, and a lot of people would have free hit anyway in 27. Would you bench Watkins, Dino, Cancelo? I'd bench Watkins. Bench boost De Gea, Malpai, King, Sufav. Triple captain has already been used. Yeah, I can see why. I still think you could have a better bench later on in the season, but it's a good bench and it would maybe get you what you want, which is between 15 and 25 points. Forson, Van Dijk and Cornet in for Jota and Laporte. I like it. If you have enough money, go for Robertson over Van Dijk though. Start 2 out of Coutinho, Bowen, Cancelo. Really? I'd probably go for Cancelo and Bowen still. So yeah, it's funny you should mention that. Let's actually go to that site that you talk about. So this is the planning site, fpl.team. I also use livefpl.net. That's another planning site I use. So this is how my team looks like in Gameweek 26. And in 27, this is how my team will look like. So let's just sort this out a little bit quickly. Doesn't look that great actually. So a free hit would be decent. Livramento, if he doesn't reclaim that spot, he's just going to be another one on the bench. So yeah, going into this week, Son would be my captain. And vice-captain probably Cancelo, or Verkhorst actually, something like that. And at least I've got an 11, but Livramento might actually reduce that to 10. And one thing I could do is bring in a Wolves defender, whether it's now in Gameweek 26 or in 27, or even Tarkowski who has a double in 27. And in midfield, Coutinho would definitely be a nice like-for-like replacement for Jota, if not Saka, in 28. But I think I'd go for something like this, and I get Coutinho in. Let's get this guy in. So Coutinho in for Jota, and then possibly bench Livramento. Yeah, I'm not too sure if he comes on for a 1-pointer. That would be quite frustrating. And I might even be inclined to take a hit here. So maybe Livramento out for a Wolves defender, and we can go for Cody or Aït-Nouri. I've only got 4.9 million left in the bank, so yeah, we'll just go for something like this. And then who drops to the bench? Probably Dennis. And then we've got something like this. It's not too bad. But I'm still open to the idea of free hitting now in 27 with all this news we've got. Yeah, Flying Dutchman, earlier on in the stream, I showed every single team that doubles in 28 and 29, and in my opinion, the best players from each of those teams. So even some people that are kind of overlooked, like Ward-Prowse, 4% ownership, I talked about them, and I think it's worth checking out. Thank you very much. I always lie. I just subscribed. I like your thinking, but I had 2,411 points last season, hoping to do better this season. Thank you very much for subscribing. It's much appreciated. And yeah, I think you could even improve on that score, which is pretty impressive as well. Thank you for the super chat, Sayak. Much appreciated. 12 with Salah, triple captain, and 7 double game weekers or wildcard. How's wildcard 28? Oof. Yeah, minus 12 with Salah, triple captain looks good still. And 7 double game weekers. Yeah, I don't think you necessarily need to have 9+. As for wildcard in 28, it's more of an appealing option now than it was before. Most people would have looked to use the wildcard later on, between 31 and 35, and now 28 looks very good actually. You can attack 28 and 29, you can free in 30 if need be, and then you can have a good team for the rest of the season as well. So I think a wildcard in 28 looks very good. I'm actually more likely to use it there now than I was before. So thank you very much for the super chat once again. Bench Dennis or Bowen this week. Probably Dennis, as I've done, but yeah, both of them are capable of hauling, and Bowen's form is crazy right now. What do we do with Smith Rowe? Is it worth taking a hit to replace him with Saka? I think it is, because Smith Rowe will probably start the first game, but then when Martinelli comes back, he could be benched in the second one. He blanks in 27 anyway, and long term he's not nailed. What is a good minimum of double game week 26 players? I'd say 5 or 6. If he has 7+, I think that's fine. Robertson over Van Dijk, Hibs. Alright, calm down. No need to put it in caps. Hello Dylan and chat. Sorry I missed some of the streams lately. No problem, mate. But I've kept up to date with the videos you've posted. Thank you very much, The Galactic Hobbit. And yeah, there's so much to go through today and in the last few weeks. And this has completely changed everything, I think. Thank you, Mohammed. Much appreciated. Which players' prices are going up tonight? I'll check that now for you, actually. That's not something I've checked. So I can get that on screen for you as well. So bear with me for a second here. Okay, so here we go. These are the prices. So Saka, Salah and Weghorst look like they're going to go up tonight. Even Robertson, Jimenez, Lacazette, Ramsdale, Cody, you know, they're quite close. Edouard too. In terms of price falls, which is not what you asked, but we might as well show it. Jota, Martinelli, Gallagher, Ronaldo, Emerson, Ericsson, Gray, Liramento, Steele, Duffy, all projected to fall. Taylor, Marcel and Dyer. The same goes for a few others, which not really that appealing of an FPL asset, but yeah, very interesting to see. Saka, Salah, Weghorst already projected to rise by this point, so that is almost inevitable. And yeah, that's quite a sight to behold, actually. Son or Saka? I prefer Son, but they're different price brackets. It's difficult to compare them. Hey Dylan, minus 12 done. CR7 Martinelli, Cancelo out for Van Dijk, Jimenez, Saka. I like those transfers except the Cancelo one. I know he's got no doubles, but he's just such a good player and he's been so consistent. But I can see why you've done it. Keep Edouard or sell for Jimenez. I'd probably keep Edouard for now. That's something you could do ahead of Game Week 27 and beyond. Mane, Salah, Ambrosio for CR7, Bruno and Jota. I actually like that. With Mane, I would rather have Son, but why not go for it? And it's a really good differential. Yeah, David, I talked about starting Foster instead of De Gea. Yeah, thank you very much, the Flan Dutchman. Much appreciated. Got the bench of David De Gea, Bowen, Broja, Digne. No need to bench boost. It's a good bench. I don't think you need to bench boost, though. Kind of a personal opinion there. And we'll go back to my team here. And there we go. And I'm going to show you in the FPL.team site very shortly how my team would look like in Game Week 28 and 29 without using transfers. Thank you, Sudindra. Yeah, price rises is not something I actually tend to check out, but you know, it's also important, especially considering the circumstances right now. So yeah. Cash or Kyle Walker first bench? Probably Cash there. When do you believe Jota will be back? I think either for the second game in 26 or in Game Week 28. Obviously, it would be before that, but he blanks in 27 anyway. So he's definitely missing out the first game against Norwich, and then it's just a question of the second game in 26 or later on. And right now, it seems likely that he could miss both, but you never know. We have no idea of the full extent of his injury, as Klopp said. Yeah, Van Dijk over Robertson. Yeah, Robertson could be rotated, but long term, he's going to start the vast majority of games, and he's got higher upside. Sold KDB and Jota to get Salah and Saka. Did I do good? I think so. It's a good set of transfers. Thoughts on Jota to Saka and Cucurella to Van Dijk from -8? I like it. Once again, if you can afford it, I would go to Robertson instead of Van Dijk. -4 Saka, -8 Robertson, -12 Son, -16 Laka in, Jota, Fernandez, Antonio, Cucurella out. Thoughts? Oof. Okay, so I probably would go as far as a -12. You can take a -16 as well. But, yeah. Then again, selling Antonio would be quite satisfying, wouldn't it? I think this week, even a -16 would be justifiable. Son, Bowen, Rafinha, Salah, Coutinho. Should I bring in Saka? Yeah, I think so. If not, Jacob Ramsey, although it makes more sense to get Saka in this week, Canal. Broja or Edouard? Broja long term for sure, so I'd go for Broja. Antonio to Firmino for a -4 this week, and Firmino to Jimenez for a -4 again next week. Worth it? I think potentially it is, but I'd rather just get Jimenez in straight away and focus your transfers elsewhere. But that's not a bad idea. If we trust Bib Theory, then Cash will be benched. Yeah, fair enough. There's always these theories, and people in FPL are quite crazy sometimes, but that could be a point, actually. Start King or Barnes? I go for King. Adams or Broja? Broja. So it could be worth to keep Jota? It could be, but that's the thing. You're always playing the risk there. In my case, I'm happy to have Dennis come off the bench, despite his poor showings recently. But some people might not have that luxury. They might have a single game week player that's not that good coming off the bench, so they need Jota to start at least one of the games, and it might not happen. Start King or Bowen? I'd actually start Bowen. Have you discussed the new double game weeks I have? If you check the beginning of the stream, I go through every single double game week 28 and 29 teams. I'll talk about the fixtures as well as the best players from each of those teams. Recommend removing which of Alonso or Reguilon? It's tough because Alonso's got some very good fixtures from 28 onwards, but he does blank in 27, no double in 26, no doubles anytime soon, but that could change. Reguilon's also kind of a doubt right now. That is tough, actually. I think I would sell Reguilon a bit hesitantly there. Bench Bowen or Aït-Nouri? I would probably bench Aït-Nouri. Lacazette or Edouard for Game Week 26? For 26, maybe Lacazette, but you could always have Edouard and Saka and cover both teams that way. If Jota misses both games, is Firmino nailed? Firmino might not still start both games. It could be Diaz instead. But yeah, I think he's obviously going to be much more likely to get both games. Ramsdale Robertson? Ramsdale Robertson, what a question. I'm not sure what the context would be in terms of who you get rid of and all of that and how many hits you're taking, but I prefer Ramsdale. I mean, I think everyone likes Rum. I think Ramsdale would be the better one long term and just better value for money. And you can always have Trent anyway to cover Liverpool. Thank you, Andy. Much appreciated. Really mean it. Thank you very much. Start one out of King, Digne, Foden. Probably King in that case. You really think Verkhorst is going to get points? That's the plan. That's the hope. Lacazette or Edouard for Game Week 26? Lacazette. Who to bench? Cancelo or Bowen? Cancelo. Why not thinking about Bernardo Silva? He's just producing too many blanks. Yeah, he scored twice and got an assist in the Champions League, but he's not worth going for. Podence, Laka or Saka? Jimenez. Saka and Jimenez. Son plus Broja or Saka plus Laka? Son and Broja. Reguilon got COVID, I think. Thank you for that, Hibbs. Thank you very much. I wasn't aware of that. Have you taken a hit this week? Yes, I've taken a -8 already. I made the transfers very early on. And in hindsight, obviously, if I didn't, I probably would have just got rid of Jota anyway. But it doesn't change too much of my team, actually. So I'm quite lucky in that case. With one free hit, would you use it in 27, 30 or elsewhere? What I would do in your case, Joab, is use FPL.team, see how your team is lining up in all of those weeks. But yeah, I think I would be tempted to use it in 30, but you could always wildcard in 28 and then cover Game Week 30 that way. You can also attack 28 and 29 and maybe use the free hit in 27 instead. But then another way of looking at it is you can actually plan your transfers right now for 26 and 27, focus on those two exclusively, then wildcard out of it. So you could free in 30 free or perhaps another game week. Van Dijk or Robertson would be nailed. I think Van Dijk is more nailed per se, but Robertson, I still expect him to start both games, but I think he's more likely than Van Dijk to be benched in 26. Who to start, Bowen or Dennis? I'd start Bowen. Bench boost De Gea, Ronaldo, Ramsey, Cancelo. That's a good bench. I would still rather triple captain Salah though. Robsdale, yeah. Best Wolves defender to go for? I think Aït-Nouri or Saiss, but Cody's very good too. I think there's not much to separate all of them. So if you want value for money, someone who can just be on your bench from time to time, but also do very well when needed, Aït-Nouri is the guy. But to start most weeks, I think Saiss or Cody would do the job for you. Start Broja or Cancelo, I'd go for Cancelo. Laporte to Saiss for a -4 this week or next week? This week, why not? Rumour going around is that Reguilon has COVID. There's reports that Spurs players has COVID. Yeah, Reguilon wasn't pictured in training. So yeah, thank you very much for that. And it would make sense. And I think Reguilon's actually been playing well recently. So it would surprise me if he was just benched for no reason. Thank you, Denon, for the super chat. Much appreciated. Lacazette or Edouard. I already have Saka. I mean, Lacazette has more doubles and maybe better fixtures until the end of the season, but I would rather double up on Arsenal's defence with Ramsdale and Tierney instead. I think Lacazette has the better set of doubles in 26, but I still prefer Edouard actually out of the two. But you've got to go with your gut with that one. I think it's very close, and Edouard also saves you money and you can spend it elsewhere. But thank you very much for the super chat. Much appreciated, mate. Let's see what else people have been saying. Keeping Fernandes for this game week. I think that's quite a nice differential, and you know, if I still hadn't made transfers, I actually would have probably kept Fernandes at this point. Yeah. Which transfers did I make? I brought in Salah. Yeah, Salah. For a second, I second-guessed myself there. Salah, Son, and Weghorst. And this was before Weghorst was kind of cleared to play in 26. I brought them in for the double United attack of Bruno Fernandes and Ronaldo, as well as Demarai Gray. So not much would have changed. I think Jota would have been the one who I would have gotten rid of. But then, if Jota does play the second game, I think that could be quite a nice ace up my sleeve, but I'm not sure if that's going to happen at this point. Start Dennis or Foden? I'd go for Dennis there. Gabriel or Tierney? I prefer Tierney actually, but Gabriel, I think he's actually worth it as well. And he's got more points than Tierney this season, more goal threat. Tierney just has better creativity. And Gabriel's more nailed as well, I would say. What do you think about people looking to go out of Cancelo for Wolves, Liverpool, Arsenal? I can understand why. I'd still be hesitant about it and still look to keep Cancelo, because even in a single game week he can outscore most double game week players. Bench boost with 9 double game week or triple captain Trent? Ooh, good question. It also depends who you have in your bench, like Cancelo, Bowen. Do you have a double game weeker there? But yeah, I probably would look to triple captain Salah or Trent in your case. Start Broja or Ronaldo? I'd start Ronaldo. Broja to start or Aston Villa player? I have Watkins, Ramsey and Digne on the bench. Ooh, I'd actually be tempted to start Ramsey, but if not Broja, then Digne, then Watkins. 9 players for next week is good enough? I think so. You can always free hit. If not, you can take a hit or make a free transfer to get to 10 or 11. I don't think it's that bad. Free hit time, not in 26, I think. It would make more sense going forward in 27 and beyond. Honestly, I'd say Edouard is an avoid and I own him. Fair enough, yeah. Unfortunately, in the last few weeks, he's just shown all the red signs of just avoid. But I still think he's got something in him. Start Ramsdale or Foster if I have Tierney. I'd still go for Ramsdale all day long. Worth a hit for Reguilon to Saiss? I think so, Oliver, especially with all the news surrounding Reguilon right now. Rate my team. De Gea, Cancelo, Arnold. Should I make a -12 or not? Thank you very much, Bodhi. So, yeah, I'm not sure which... So I think that's how your team is right now without making a -12. I don't think your team's fine. Any transfers to make, potentially your second goalkeeper, or sell David De Gea. Reguilon's another one to offload. I don't really think you need to make too many though. Maybe someone on your bench as well, because those players you listed are fine, and I don't necessarily think you need to sell the majority of them. Dennis to Weghorst for a hit, or get him next week. I think Dennis could do alright, and that's coming from someone who's got him on the bench currently. But it makes sense to get Weghorst. 2 doubles in a row. The only problem is if he misses one game this week. I don't think you need to make that move, John. Broja or Maximan for the coming game weeks? Broja, but I do like Maximan too. What's your plan for Jota? It was always to sell him in 27, but I might even take an additional hit this week. The reason why I've got him still is because I could just, let him there. If he plays the second game, then great. If he doesn't, then Dennis comes on and I can focus on another transfer and just focus on 27 as well and beyond. But yeah, I think right now I might just keep, but I'm still open to the idea of selling. Ramsdale or Sarr? I'd go for Ramsdale. Saiss, Son and Weghorst for a -8. That looks good. Yeah. Gordon, 4.5 million, double game at 29. If you check out the segment earlier on in this video where I talked about the best players for each team, Gordon was right there with all of his stats, which aren't that great, but I highlighted him earlier, as well as a few other players for every single team that doubles in 20 and 29. Start Cancelo or Dennis? I mean, I've I've got Cancelo starting right now, but then I've only got 3 defenders anyway, so it makes sense in my case. I'd probably go for Dennis, I guess, but I'd still be hesitant about benching Cancelo. Who would you sell, Dennis or King? I prefer Dennis, so I'd sell King. Will Gameweek 36 still be the biggest double game week? I think it might be smaller than we expected because of all of this. So that's a good point you make, and it's something I talked about briefly earlier. I think it might not be as big as we thought. I'm keeping Smith Rowe. That might screw me over. I think he's going to start the first game anyway, and he could do very well against Brentford. But the second game against Wolves, I think Martinelli could slot back in. Who would you bench, Antonio or DCL? Good question, actually. That's tough. Let me actually, because I got rid of all my Everton players. Let me just remind myself of the Everton game that they have. Yeah, Southampton away. That's a good one. That's a good question. I don't like either of them, so I probably would bench. Oh, that is tough. I might bench Calvert-Lewin out of the two, but yeah, Antonio's been awful recently. Firmino or Robertson? I prefer Robertson all day long. De Gea to Ramsdale, Sarr for -4. I think it's worth it, and I'd go for Ramsdale, John. Was Marcel to Trent, Dalot to Robertson, Jota to Cornet, Sanchez to Ramsdale, and Ronaldo to Broja a good move for -12? Definitely. I prefer Saka and a few others instead of Cornet, but he's still good, and he's got 2 doubles in a row. Makes sense. All those transfers are great. Should I start Kane? It depends who you bench, but I would start Kane, yeah, he's got a double. And he featured in my best free hit team video for this week. I think Ronaldo's a good option, scored a wonderful goal last match and against Leeds. The thing is, though, before he scored that goal, most people would have just said, you know, I can't wait to get rid of him. And United have kind of, not much has changed with them. They just actually finally scored goals. But in terms of performances, they had plenty of chances in the last few games. They just weren't taking them. And Ronaldo obviously scored a really good goal, but is that type of goal sustainable? Probably not. Ronaldo can score all types of goals. I just think that there's better value to be had up front. I don't think right now it's worth having any premium striker. But Ronaldo's good this week. If you have him, I don't think you need to necessarily sell him. I only did that because I needed a way to get Salah back in, so I had to get rid of Ronaldo. But I think you make a good point. I held off on making any moves now. I have Jota not playing. Jota out. Who in? Probably either Saka or Coutinho. I know Coutinho doesn't have a double this week, but he does later on, so I think I'd probably go for one of those two. I'm not sure who else you have already, so that would also play a part. Laka plus Coutinho in for a -12, or play Antonio and Foden. Good question. I like Coutinho a lot, but you could always save that transfer because Foden could score quite similarly to Coutinho in Gameweek 26. Laka in for Antonio looks good this week, though, so you could take a -8 technically. You kind of answered this question already, but if I transfer out Reguilon for Tierney, I don't have to bench Broja. If I do Dawson to Tierney, I have to bench Reguilon, Broja, or Dennis. Okay, so yeah, I probably would transfer out Reguilon for Tierney, but I don't mind the other one either. I mean, yeah, Dawson, that's the problem, isn't it? If I have to bench Reguilon, Broja, or Dennis, yeah, I'd go for Dennis for the double. Do you think Smith Rowe and Odegaard will start both games? Yeah, Anas, I answered this question already. I think that both of them won't start both games, to make it very clear. I think Smith Rowe is more likely to be benched in the second game when Martinelli comes back. Should I make transfers now or wait for the deadline? I think it doesn't really hurt to wait for the deadline. Just bear in mind some players are projected to rise, but you know, if it's no one you're really interested in to bring in, then that's fine. You know, you can just wait for tomorrow. Otherwise, you know, why not do it today? Sell Bernardo or Jota? I mean, normally I'd say Bernardo, but Jota could miss both games and then he blanks in 27. That's tough. Maybe both. You could even take an additional hit. Did Firmino play next 2 games? Obviously, I wish I can tell you for sure if he's going to play both games. I think he's going to definitely start one of them. I'm not sure if he starts both, actually. And if Jota comes back for the second one, I think Firmino could be benched there. Odegaard will start both games. Yeah, I think so as well, but not Smith Rowe. Has everyone made their transfers? Yeah, I think the vast majority of people have, but there's a few people that haven't. Would you play Foden over King? I probably would start King just for the double, but Foden's been in good form too. How many double game week players should I have? I wouldn't look too much into it, but you know, if you've got 6+, you know, that looks good, and any more is a bonus. De Gea, Shaw, Coutinho, and Digne for a bench boost. Good bench. I probably would look to triple captain Salah though. Should I start Kane or replace him? If you have Kane, then start him. The only reason I'd get rid of him is because it blocks a move to get Salah back in. Hey Dylan, I have Cucurella and Digne, but I want Van Dijk. Who should I sell? I'd sell Cucurella and keep Digne. The double for Digne looks better, and also the fixtures long term. Do you think a -16 for triple captain Salah or wildcard? I'm not sure which other players you brought in. I'm guessing they're pretty good, but that's tough. I'd still maybe say triple captain Salah, but a -16 obviously it does seem very excessive, but at the same time, I'd be a bit more open-minded about hits this week. Bowen or King or Weghorst, who do I bench? I'd probably bench King out of those three. I have 9 points. Which midfielder should I take for my game at 26? I play the free hit. I'm not sure which midfielders you have or don't have already, Denin, but, you know, looking at Jota replacement, Son is there. If you want someone cheaper, then there's Saka. Coutinho long-term looks good, but if you want someone specifically for game at 26, Son and Saka are two of the best. Play one this week, Foden, Laporte or DCL. I'd probably play Foden, actually, from those three. Thank you, John, for tuning in. Always much appreciated and always a pleasure. Thanks in advance. Who to bench? Currently have Ramsdale, Sanchez, Aït-Nouri, Cancelo, Trent, Digne, Dalot, DCL, Son, Salah. Wow, okay, so Ramsdale, Sanchez. I obviously would start Ramsdale. I would go for Trent, Cancelo and Aït-Nouri. So I'd bench Dalot. Yeah, so Son, Salah, Saka, all of them starting. Bowen too. Up front, I'd start Edouard and King. So yeah, to bench, so it's between Foden and King, but the rest I'm quite clear on. I would bench Digne and Dalot. Yeah, Digne, Dalot, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I'd bench those three actually. Yeah. Mate Dylan, should we sell Jota for a hit or just play with Cancelo? Thanks. I don't mind playing with Cancelo. In that case, you could just do that, but a hit is worth it. You know, you're bringing in someone like Cornet with 2 doubles in a row, Saka, Coutinho, who's got some very good fixtures and a double soon. I probably would look to do that. Yeah, thank you, Anas. Much appreciated. And let me actually check how we're looking. And we've almost got 300 people watching, so much appreciated to everyone. And let me get back. So these are just the fixtures. I've been stuck on this screen for quite a while, so apologies for that. So this is how my team is looking like for game week 26. I'm going to be showing you my plans for 27 beyond shortly, or at least how my team lines up there. I'm going to be quite open-minded about that, but Wolves defenders, I definitely want to bring one in now. And I was thinking of Tarkowski earlier today. Now it's Cody, Aït-Nouri, Saiss, etc. And in midfield, I'm looking for Coutinho or Saka. If it was Coutinho to come in for Jota, then that's probably a move I make in 27 instead. Otherwise, Saka comes in for Jota right now. But if you haven't already, smash the like button and subscribe for new. We're almost at 10,000 subscribers. We're very close. We can hit that milestone today. And if not, very, very soon, I would suspect anyway. So thank you very much. Let me actually check how we're looking like at the moment. Let me also see if there's any issues with YouTube. Sometimes they flag stuff. Yeah, they've already flagged something. So let me just sort this out very quickly. This will only take a few seconds. 1 second, there we go. Jesus Christ. Anyway. Alright, that's sorted. And now let's check the subscriber count actually. So, yeah, we're 55 subscribers away. We're on 9,945. So any subscription will be massively appreciated. In terms of the likes on this video, we are currently on 96. So yeah, we're almost at 100. We'll definitely reach that. And we can also aim for 150. So thank you to everyone who's been tuning in. And there could be a reaction stream tomorrow. We're not done yet. And obviously much appreciated that there's almost 300 of you watching. And let's now go through your questions again before I show you how my team looks like in the future. Start Weghorst to Ramsey. Weghorst there. Sell or hold Watkins for the double? I'd probably sell. Play Cancelo or Jota out for a hit. I don't mind playing Cancelo. I honestly would probably just do that, but a hit is also worth it. And you also have to think about those players you bring in. Do you expect those players to do very well in 26? And do you like them long term? If so, then just take the hit and bench Cancelo. But I still think Cancelo is capable of a big return this week. See you soon. Thank you, Wei Seng. Yeah, it's very late there, but obviously much appreciate that you stuck around for so long. Tomiyasu to start both games? I think so. Unless there's kind of a fitness issue. Tomiyasu's so nailed. He's going to start every game. Bernardo to Coutinho or Rafinha? I honestly prefer Coutinho. So despite Rafinha having 2 doubles in the space of 3 game weeks, I go for Coutinho. Why Weghorst over Jimenez? If he may not play both games. Why Weghorst? Well, in my case, I got Weghorst in because I couldn't afford Jimenez anyway. Jimenez does look good though because he also doesn't blank in Gameweek 30, so he's a good option too. And I just prefer Weghorst because he has 2 consecutive doubles, and also with Jimenez, he's just been very on and off all season and just hasn't shown the quality of the previous campaigns. Thank you, Amin, much appreciated. Which one to play? Reguilon, Ramsey, Ward-Prowse or Broja? The thing is, Reguilon looks like he could be out, at least for the Man City game, which is quite a tough game anyway. I'd actually play Ramsey out of those lot. Transfer out Jota for Sarr. He's someone I haven't mentioned too much, actually. And in the Watford section, yeah, I'd actually replace King with Sarr. So Dennis, Sarr and Foster would be my top 3 picks from Watford. That's actually a good shout. I'm still not a big fan of Watford, so I wouldn't go there. But if you are looking for someone around that price, Sarr is definitely one to keep an eye on. 8 double Gameweek players, Cancelo, Bowen, Bruno. Should I start King over Reguilon? Sell for Gabriel, 1 free transfer. Yeah, I would do that, Khalid, yeah. Bench Rudiger or Cancelo? Rudiger, I'd bench Rudiger. Son or Jundi? Wait, I'm probably being a bit special here. Who is Jundi? Let me know and then I'll tell you. Gallagher to Saka for free. Add Ruben Diaz to Van Dijk for -4 and Antonio to Jimenez and upgrade Van Dijk to Robertson for a -8. That's good, but if you have Van Dijk, then maybe I wouldn't take an additional hit for Robertson. It could backfire potentially, even though I don't think it would. But I think the -4 looks good, Andrew. Digne or Dallo? I'd start Digne. Bench Digne, Eduardo or Dennis? I would bench Digne. Rank my bench, Laporte, Digne, Broja. It would be Broja first, Digne second, Laporte third. It's quite tight between Digne and Broja. Is Saka, Son, Van Dijk? I can get Robertson, but he won't play both. And Ramsdale worth it for -12? Yes, it is worth it, I think, a bit. Yeah, it is worth it. Cornet or Rafinha? I still prefer Rafinha, but there's not much in it. And 2 doubles in a row for Burnley, that might sway you the other way, but I prefer Rafinha. 2 doubles in 3 game weeks anyway for both of these teams. -12 out. Bruno, CR7, Jota, Gray, in Salah, Saka, Son, Weghorst. Quite a lot of similar transfers going around, and honestly, I like all of them, Jay. They're all very good. All those players you brought in are fantastic for me. I brought in White for Digne, good move. For Gameweek 26, yes, but if we're looking beyond, I still would rather have Digne, but that's fine. I think White, quite cheap, and he offers good value for money. Elisa Rafinha for free hit. For a free hit, check out my best free hit and wildcard video. You can see what I've done, and you can maybe get some ideas from that. I would go for other players instead, but you could actually, for the double, even consider Zaha, even though I'm not a big fan of him. Out of those 2, I probably would go for Rafinha still, but that Liverpool fixture is very tough. Triple Captain Salah, yep, that's what I'm doing. What transfers are you making? I've already made 3 for a -8. I might take an additional hit, so just to recap, Salah, Son and Weghorst have come in for Bruno Fernandes, Ronaldo and Damari Gray. I'm looking to potentially take an additional hit, so Cucurella could become a Wolves defender. Or another thing I could do, which I've been thinking about all day actually, is moving Jota onto Saka or another midfielder, and that will give me enough money to move Livramento up to a Wolves defender as well. So I've got plenty of options, but that would be a -16 if I were to get rid of Jota as well as another defender. And I'd also have Dennis on the bench, which I'm a bit uneasy about actually, despite his really bad form recently. So it's not as simple as it looks. Do you think Saka can produce, and Van Dijk or Robertson? Thoughts? Well, I mean, obviously it's your opinion if Robertson will start both or not. I think he will, but there is the chance he does get benched by Tsimikas. I think Saka can produce, and that's why he featured in my best wildcard and free hit team videos today. Would you play Coutinho or Broja in Gameweek 26? I would play Coutinho. The rest is doubling except for Bowen. Yeah, John, I'd go for Coutinho. Coutinho or Cornet? I prefer Coutinho. Jimenez or Weghorst? I still prefer Weghorst, but both are good. And with Jimenez not blanking in 30, having a double in 26 and also in 28, he's a good appealing option. And he'd probably move from the skip section now in my transfer tips video to a buy potentially, or at least keeping an eye on. I'm still not a big fan of him this season, but he's more enticing than before. Daniel puts his team. Not so sure about Smith Rowe starting though. I think Smith Rowe will start one game because Martinelli is suspended, but he won't start both in my opinion. That would be my only concern. Your team looks fine actually, and you've got a good bench as well. It's not even a bad idea to bench boost, but Reguilon probably missing out the first game based on what we've seen recently. In terms of improving your starting 11, I mean, you could get rid of Smith Rowe actually. I'm not sure how much money you have in the bank, but you could go to Saka. Might seem a bit sideways, but I think Saka is just a better option long term. He's more nailed. I'd go for that. Hi Dylan, keep Cucurella for double. The thing is, yeah, Brighton have good fixtures until 28, but the double in 29 is against Tottenham and Liverpool, and then they face City. Look, you can keep him. I don't think it's a bad idea, but I'd probably look to sell, especially if that's your only way to a Wolves defender. Have all 11 double game week players and De Gea, Bowen, Saint-Maximin, Soufal. Should I bench boost or triple captain? It's not a bad bench, but I would probably triple captain. Yeah, I'm thinking to bench boost then triple captain Salah in 29, and when he does... Yeah, I can see your concerns. Salah could be benched in one of the games, like against Leeds, but I think he'll start both. Honestly, you know, if you think that Salah will be benched in one of them, then maybe just do what you say and bench boost this week and triple captain in 29. But my preference would be triple captaining now and bench boosting later on, maybe in 29, for example. Is Reguilon playing? He might start the second game, but based on reports and the fact he wasn't seen in training, I think he might miss the first game against City, yeah. Tierney, a Wolves defender. If you have Ramsdale already, I'd go for a Wolves defender. Probably keep it that simple. Bench free. Rudiger, Digne, Cancelo, Ramsey, Coutinho, Bowen, Dennis. Jesus. I would probably bench... That's very tough, actually. I would basically start Dennis, Bowen, and Cancelo, actually, and I'd bench the rest, Mohamed. Start Foden or King? I would start King. Going for Van Dijk, fair enough. Anyways, in 28, having attacking players from City and Liverpool is always better. No, that's a good point as well. And Van Dijk, hopefully it works out for you. You know, one goal is definitely possible in this double game week. Is Gray to Fraser too punty for game week 27? I would probably go elsewhere, and the midfield spots are so precious, and I'd even rather occupy with Ramsey, who's even cheaper than Fraser as well. But it's not a bad shout, I guess. From Newcastle, as I talked about earlier, my preference would be Saint-Maximin from an offensive point of view, and then defensively Trippier and Dubravka. Should I get Saka, Weghorst and Salah -8 and then play free in 27, or get Broja, Son and Salah and don't play the free in 27? That's a good question, actually. Not much in it. Oof. If you only have one free hit available, then I'd go for the first set of options, Yazid. But if you have two free hits at your disposal, then I would lean more towards the second one. Wait, did I even say that right? Okay, look, I don't want to confuse. I'm confusing myself. So, Saka, Weghorst, and Salah, or Broja, Son and Salah. Oof, I mean, both trios are very good. There's not much in it, if anything. I like Broja, Son and Salah the most, so that is my preference, even if it means you don't play the free in 27. So if you have two free hits, you have the luxury of potentially playing one in 27. So that's basically what I mean. So if you have two free hits, then you can just play the free hit in 27 and go for Saka, Weghorst and Salah. If you only have one, I would definitely recommend going for the second set of options. And in general, my option or my preference would be Broja, Son and Salah. I just like that trio more long-term, Yazid. So hopefully you got that. If I confused everyone, then apologies for that. Cornet or Rafinha, not much in it, as I discussed earlier. Probably Rafinha, but Cornet does have two doubles in a row. But Rafinha also looks pretty decent. Triple on Salah, yes or no? Yes for me, John. It's up to you if you go for it. Cornet has two double game weeks. How can you keep Coutinho above him? I just prefer Coutinho. He's also got one double at least. And with Cornet, I've already got Weghorst, and that's maybe a bit biased there. I wouldn't double up on Burnley attack, just to give you an example there. But yeah, obviously you can go for Cornet. I've never said he's a bad option, but the stats are also very unsustainable, and Coutinho has better stats, although in a very short space of time, so kind of very limited numbers. I just prefer Coutinho. Also better fixtures, and Aston Villa are a better team. Was first thinking about going for Lacazette over Jimenez, but I reckon Saka's the better Arsenal asset, and Jimenez is really the only interesting Wolves attacking asset. You've pretty much summarised everything I thought there, and that's why when people have kind of asked about that, I tend to go for Jimenez and Saka as my preferred duo. No Arsenal players. Well, I've got Ramsdale. I might get Saka in midfield, but in defence, I'm leaning towards getting a Wolves defender instead. But Tierney does look very appealing this week. If I were to go for Tierney, then I probably would look to free in 27. So I've still yet to decide. But taking an additional -8 does seem a bit excessive in my case. Which Wolves defender would you go for? I like Saiss a lot, but because of my budget, I'm looking more towards Cody and Ait Nouri. Evening Dylan, just finished work. I brought in Jota early. Should I hold and play Ramsey, Broja or Digne or bring in Saka? Yeah, that's a bit tight, isn't it? If you were to hold Jota, I would just start him. And if he doesn't play both games, then one of those players you mentioned comes in. But Saka is just a good option long term, and you're probably looking to get rid of Jota in 27 anyway, so... yeah, I'd maybe lead towards the Saka move. Yeah. Start Dennis or Cancelo. I have Son. I guess I'd start Dennis. The only reason I've gone for Cancelo instead is because I only have 3 defenders, so I need to. If I have Foster, Livramento, Coutinho, Cancelo on my bench, I wouldn't bench boost that, but it's a decent bench. West Ham Newcastle predictions. Chuso, Maximin or Soufal. I think both teams will score. It might be a bit tighter than we expect. So maybe 2-1 West Ham. Newcastle could actually steal something here, but I would still favour West Ham. How would you rate my bench? Laporte, Digne, Broja. It's a decent bench. It's not something I'd be too keen on bench boosting though, Kunal. Let's see. What about Ismail Assar? Yeah, I probably should have mentioned him as well when I talked about Watford, but I think he's one of the better ones. And Watford have pretty much no one to choose from. But Dennis, Sarr and Foster would be my ideal ones. So I'm actually going to recap just for new viewers. I'm going to go through that section once again. But before we do, let's go to my FPL.team. So I've already shown you how my team will look like in Game Week 27. But I'm now going to show you how my team lines up in 28 and 29 without making further transfers. So in 28, I've already got quite a few double game weekers here. So yeah, Verkos would drop to the bench. Never going to bench Salah, am I? So... well, it's a bit of a difficult one. Yeah, I think I'd maybe bench Bowen, even though he's obviously very good. Cucurella. Yeah, it would be quite tight actually between Cucurella and Bowen. But nah, Trent would have to come in here. And Ramsdale. That doesn't look too bad. Without making any transfers, Game Week 28 looks pretty decent. And yeah, I mean, that is quite tight. So in Game Week 28, Aston Villa, Leeds, Newcastle, Southampton, Watford and Wolves all double. I'm not necessarily too confident about any of those teams and captaining one of their players. That's something I'm yet to decide really, but that wouldn't look too bad. But then again, yeah, Cody coming in, that would be the one change actually from my original team. So yeah, if we were to remove him and get Livramento, I'd actually have to start probably Bowen or Cucurella, which isn't too bad actually. So yeah, I am very tempted to get a Wolves defender. I probably will do it. I mean, look at that double in 28 for Wolves. Crystal Palace and Watford at home. That is fantastic. And yeah, ignore Dennis, by the way. He wouldn't be captain or vice-captain. So something like this. And then in Game Week 29, doubles for Arsenal there. I mean, this looks pretty decent. Cucurella I probably would get rid of before this even happens. But if I did keep him for this long, then yeah, here we go. You know, he's in the team. He'd replace Edouard and Verkhorst. Yeah, I wouldn't bench Bowen here, so I would probably bench Cody. Digne as well. Yeah, I'd go for something like this. Yeah, that looks pretty decent as well. Salah, captain, no doubt about it, and Son vice. So Game Week 29, I'm actually, you know, in a decent position, and this is only with making transfers that will focus primarily on Double Game Week 26. So yeah, use FPL.team if you haven't already, or livefpl.net. And just visualize how your team looks like in future game weeks and have a good idea of which players you want to bring in. I'm pretty convinced about getting Wolves defenders right now, and I might even take a hit to bring one in this week for, well, probably Livramento or Cucurella. The problem is to get rid of Livramento, I probably would have to also make another move and probably do Jota to Saka, but that would be a minus 16 in total. So this is a crazy week. I'm probably not going to use the wild card, and I will just be focusing on the triple captaincy on Salah instead. But yeah, those are my plans right now, and very shortly I'm going to be showing you once again the best players from every single team that double in 20 and 29. What should I do with Jota? I probably would sell, but if you think he's going to start the second game, then keep him just in case and start him. It also depends on your squad depth. So if you have someone good on the bench, you can always afford to just avoid taking an extra hit and just see what happens and play Jota. Do you think Ignor is nailed on? I think he will be occasionally rotated. So what I mean by that is not like he's going to, you know, miss the maybe second or third game every single time, but I think Marçal and Johnny would get maybe one game here and there. I think he will start both games in 26, but you never know. And I don't want to predict that too much. I'm just giving kind of my gut feeling there. And it wouldn't surprise me if Nuri played both in 26, then was benched in 27. That is a possibility. Do you think Emerson Royal will start both? I think so, but his form is very poor. And yeah, I mean, Doherty tends to play as a left wing back right now for Spurs. He's naturally a right wing back. He could also be another option there. But yeah, right now, I think Emerson will start both. Chris, thank you very much. Robertson to come in. Yep, I think is a great move. And I think he will play both games. But just like with Nuri, I wouldn't be surprised if Tsimikas came in and stole a game from him. Star defender and a midfielder, Rudiger or Digne, Coutinho or Ramsey. That's really tough between the Aston Villa midfielders. I would go for Rudiger and Coutinho, but Ramsey's also very good, Mohamed. Chelsea versus Arsenal has a good chance of going into Gameweek 28, additionally true, and that would increase the appeal of Saka, Lacazette, Tierney, etc. Yeah, according to Ben Krelling on Twitter, that's probably something he said recently. Thank you very much for that, Ben Krelling. Thank you very much, Flying Dutchman. Tarkowski or Emerson Royal? I actually prefer Tarkowski. Who would you bring in Saka for your team? It'd be Jota out, Kunal. DCL versus Broja. Who do I start? I would go for Broja. Is Nuri nailed on? Yeah, obviously I already answered that question. There's no need to go for it again. Can you rate my team triple captain or bench boost? I'm not sure what your team is, so it's difficult, but in most cases I would suggest a triple captaincy. I have Salah and Trent getting rid of Jota. Can't get another defender without lots of hits. Thoughts on Fabinho? I think I told you already. If not, I told others. Fabinho has a triple up? No. I think he has like 5 goals in his last 8 games for Liverpool. I still wouldn't go for him. Actually, it might include Brazil as well, but that's besides the point. I wouldn't go for Fabinho. Triple up for Liverpool, Robertson, Trent and Salah. Simple as that. When we have Chelsea doubles, any news? Well, according to Ben Krellin, apparently, and let me try and get this up and verify it myself, apparently there could be a double in 28 for Chelsea. So that's something else to think about. Let me just double check this. Yeah. Yeah, so, wow, yeah. There's quite a lot to think about here. So, more news has come out, basically. So, yeah, Chelsea could double in Gameweek 28 as well. And that's kind of something that was the one fixture, Chelsea versus Arsenal, that we were convinced about that was going to head into 28. And it didn't happen, but it still is very likely. Yeah, so Ben Krellin said, I still think there's a chance that Chelsea versus Arsenal has moved to double Gameweek 28, but it's a bit less likely after today's fixture movements. It looked like Chelsea versus Arsenal will be a Sky game on the Thursday night, but Amazon have moved the game to that night and they won't want to clash with Sky. So that's a very interesting point, actually. So, wow, yeah. Let's wait and see how these TV companies schedule all of this. But, yeah, we've got to think about this as well. Jimenez or Verkhorst, both good. I still prefer Verkhorst, but with Jimenez not blanking in 30, he's more enticing than I talked about before. Start Digne or Davis. I'd go for Davis for the double, but not much in it. Luis Diaz match starting probability. I think he's definitely starting one of the games. I'm not sure if he starts both, and that could be the rotation between Diaz and Firmino there. I had a -8 already. Would a wildcard wipe away hit points? Yes, even if you took a -32, the wildcard or a free hit cancels all the hits you make and also the transfers. Do you have a free hit draft? Check out my best free hit team video. Nothing would change there despite the news that broke out today because we're focused primarily on Gameweek 26 there. Thank you, Lamoyo. Yeah, we're very close to 10k. Nice one. Start Diaz or Sufas. Thank you very much, Lamoyo. I would go for... Oh, that's tough. Maybe Diaz, actually. I'm not sure if West Ham keep a clean sheet there. Rafinha or Cornet, already have Verkhorst. I would probably go for Rafinha, but Cornet's good as well. Thank you, Mark Peter. I'm well. Hopefully you are too. Let me know. Thank you very much. Rate my team. I think it's solid. Mahrez as your vice captain. Fair enough. Mahrez is a good option regardless, despite the fact he has no double. It's a good team. I think very solid. Yeah, solid 8 for sure. I tend to give these teams 8, but then again, you could argue a lot of teams are similar, but you've got a few differentials in there like Mahrez and Van Dijk. That looks good, and yeah, you should be well set up here. Laka, Salah and Saiss or Verkhorst, Salah and Robertson. I'd go for the second set of transfers, Kunal, so Verkhorst, Salah and Robertson. Bench Cancelo or Verkhorst. That's quite tight, and I'm not too sure if I'd want to bench Cancelo there. I'm not too sure. If I had to pick, I guess I'd bench Cancelo, but I'm very hesitant and apprehensive about it. Bench Broja, Antonio, or Bowen for Cancelo. Antonio or Broja, actually. I'd definitely start Bowen. Don't bench him. I'd actually bench Antonio, Zach. Sufa or Cancelo? I'd start Cancelo. I've got Pope and Weghorst. I'm excited, nervous. Yeah, I would be too. And I'm nervous anyway, you could say, because Weghorst might miss the first game. Yeah, Dan, I already answered that question. Is Weghorst 100% fit? Not 100% fit, but there's a good chance he starts both games. Tarkowski or me? I prefer Tarkowski, but there's not much in it as well. Is Jota out or not? He's not going to play the first game against Norwich. That's what's been reported. But he could face Leeds and also could be available for the Carabao Cup final. On a -4, force on Jota to Saka and Reguilon to Tierney White. I like it. I'd go for Tierney instead, Arjun. And yeah, good transfers. And you'll probably be using the free hit in 27. Rafinha or Corner? You already answered that, Suman. Is Zaha a good replacement for Jota? I'd go elsewhere. He's not a bad one, but I'd go elsewhere. Keep or sell Fernandes? Unless you're going to Son. I mean, the thing is, Fernandes and United don't have any doubles anytime soon. And Son's a better option long term, in my opinion. But I'd probably sell. But this week, it's not a bad idea to keep him. And it's a bit of a differential move. Either way, by 27 or 28, or after that, when the double, or should I say, the fixtures switch for Manchester United, that's when I definitely sell. By Game Week 29, you're not going to have Fernandes, most likely. So it's just really a question of when you get rid of him. Because of these doubles, I guess I'd sell him, but you don't have to. Start Gordon or Foden? Foden, yeah. Mane or Robertson on a free hit? I'd be tempted by Mane on a free hit, but I guess I'd go for Robertson there. Morris is the vice-captain, yeah, I've seen that. Gabriel or Tierney, best Wolves defender? Not much in it between Tierney and Gabriel. Gabriel's more nailed and less injury-prone, got more attacking threat in terms of goals, but Tierney's got better creativity stats. He's going to obviously get more assists. Best Wolves defender is Saiss, Cody, or Ait-Nouri. I think if you have enough money, maybe Saiss is the best one. Gabriel or Tierney? I still go for Tierney, but don't overlook Gabriel. Weghorst or Broja? This week, Weghorst, long-term Broja. Would you play Cancelo over Coutinho and Digne? Yes, I'd play him over Digne. Triple captain Salah? Yes, that's what I'm doing. Thank you very much, Chris. Much appreciated. Tierney or Gabriel? Yeah. Okay, yeah, just going to deal with the spammers. Obviously, I'll give you another chance anyway. Should I take a hit to transfer Dennis to Weghorst? I probably wouldn't. Sauraf. Hey, Ronaldo, Jota to Mane, Laka for a -4. Some pretty differential players there. I think it's worth the hit, yeah. Start King or release? I would start King. Robertson versus Arnold. I prefer Arnold, but Robertson's very good too. And if you're looking for a triple up, go for those two and Salah. Triple captain Salah or Firmino? Salah all day long, mate. Hi, Dylan. Do you think Jota to Coutinho would be good? Yes, I think so. If not, you could maybe, if you've got someone on the bench like Dennis, then maybe wait this week and make that move for free next week in 27. Rock and Roll puts his team out. Triple transfer for Game Week 28. Wink, wink, good. So transferring Jota to Fabinho. Honestly, I wouldn't do Jota to Fabinho. I don't like that one, if I'm being completely honest there. What else? What other moves are you making? So Weghorst, Dennis, Antonio, bench boost. Oh, bench boost, yeah. Yeah, I remember you were talking about not triple captaining Salah. But you don't have Salah. Honestly, I would try to get Salah in Rock and Roll. That would be my suggestion, even if it's for an additional hit. Fabinho, I'm not a big fan of. But the rest looks very good. Very, very good. Majumder puts his team. So let's see. So you took a -4. Good team, yeah. Broja and Salah in for Jota and Watkins. I would even consider taking an additional hit if you want. You don't have to. Do you necessarily need to this week? No. But Bruno to Son could be something on the cards there. Foden as well. So you've already got Saka. Yeah, what I would do with Foden is probably get rid of him for Coutinho in the coming week. So you don't have to do it this week. And I would consider getting Son in for Bruno, but you don't have to. Your team's fine, actually, Majumder. I think that's a good set of transfers. Your team is well set. You don't need to make any more transfers there. It feels like I'm high taking a -12. It feels like we all are, but don't worry. I've seen a lot of people taking -16s and everything. It's going to be quite an interesting week here. -12 for Salah, Son, Jimenez and Saka. Worth it? Definitely, Mickey. Broja and Dennis up front. Broja, you're kind of set there. There's not many good strikers or reliable ones, but Broja's one of the better strikers there. Are Spurs double fixtures better or worse than strong single game players like Cancelo and Bowen? From a fixtures perspective, I think no, actually. You're right. They're not really better. But I like Son long term anyway. He's got a double in 29, which is pretty decent, actually. But yeah, other than Son, I wouldn't really recommend any other Spurs player. Is Weghorst confirmed to be fit? No, but he has a chance of being fit against Brighton, which is good news. Robertson or Saiss long term? Maybe Saiss just for the extra money, and then you can invest in your midfield and have Salah, Son, Bowen, Coutinho, and maybe another quite expensive midfielder. Otherwise, you could have Ramsey. I like both, but I maybe would go for Saiss. Also, he plays in Gameweek 30, no blanks in 27. Thank you very much, Glenn. Much appreciated. And yeah, hopefully you keep on growing as well. I think you already got more than 10,000 subscribers, so thank you very much, mate. Will Reguilon start? I don't think he's going to start the first game based on all the information that's online right now, if I'm being completely honest there. Trying to pick who to start between Watkins, Ramsey and Digne. I'd actually start Ramsey. I know it sounds crazy, but out of those three, Ramsey would be my pick there. Saka or Rafinha or Elise? Saka will be my preference of the three. But Rafinha's good too. Well, they all are, but I'd go for Saka first. Also. I only said also. Jota for Rafinha, I have Saka. Yeah, that's a good transfer. If you think Rafinha, or should I say, if you think Jota's going to start the second game, then consider keeping him. And in the worst case scenario, you have someone coming off the bench. And if they're decent, that's fine. Thank you, Majumda, much appreciated. Coutinho to Son for the long term. I wouldn't get rid of Coutinho right now. I think I'd rather get rid of someone else. Coutinho's got a double in 28. I wouldn't do that. Even though I prefer Son over Coutinho, I try to have both. Thoughts about wildcard in Gameweek 28 and bench boost in Gameweek 29? I've actually talked about this, and right now I'm thinking of triple captaining this week, free hitting in 27 and or 30, and maybe I don't even free hit in 27 anyway. And let me see, yeah, I've got that on screen. And then I would probably maybe bench boost in 29 or whenever my bench looks good, and wildcard in 28 or 31. So I think it looks good, mate. And I was talking about chip strategies earlier. There's quite a lot of different ways. You can wildcard in 26 as well, and you can also bench boost right now. There's so many ways to play it. FPL Robert Ducky says quack quack. Really? Bench order, Rudiger, Ramsey, Veltman. I would go for Ramsey first, Rudiger second, Veltman third. Quite tough there though, Mohamed. That's a good bench. Keep De Bruyne or swap for Son. I don't think there's any issue keeping De Bruyne, but I'd swap for Son. Yeah, it's still fine though. Pierce, yeah. Hey Dylan, if you could afford Jimenez, would you have got him over Weghorst? I probably wouldn't have. But then again, if I'd made the transfers now, instead of when I made them, which was, I don't know how long ago now, it was maybe around Monday or something, then maybe I would have considered Jimenez instead. But I'm just prioritising Wolves defenders as always. I have Kane from Spurs. Should I take a hit and bring Son? I probably wouldn't. If you have Kane, then that's fine. And Kane has shown some good form, at least in the FA Cup and in recent matches, despite the blanks. So I wouldn't do that. I prefer Son. I think he offers better value for money, but I'm not sure if it warrants a hit to go from one to the other. Reguilon towards defenders? Yes, Bullet, definitely. I'd go for it. I'm wildcarding in 27. I'd rather, yeah, free hit in 27, as Oliver says, and maybe wildcard in 28. So Hassan puts his team. Made 2 free transfers, Antonio to Broja and Bruno to Salah. Any thoughts? I like the transfers a lot. Broja's looking increasingly great. Your bench is De Gea, Emerson, Maddison, Laporte. That's a good bench as well. Your starting 11 looks fine. I don't think you necessarily need to make any transfers. If you were to make one, Hassan, maybe get rid of Smith Rowe and go for Saka. Might seem a bit sideways, but Smith Rowe might not play both games when Martinelli comes back. Rafinha or Coutinho? Coutinho's my preference, but I do like Rafinha still. I got Watkins up front. Will he be benched? I'm not sure if he's benched necessarily in Gameweek 26, but he could be in the coming weeks. Ings takes some minutes as well. But I'm not a big fan of Watkins. And in terms of replacing him with players, Broja or Weghorst. Right now, I'd go for Weghorst first because of the doubles in 26 and 27. Next week, you can also get Broja as well. Considering a minus 20, damn, we all are. It's actually crazy. And it seems like a parallel universe, but it was always going to happen with the amount of games that were postponed earlier in the season. Laporte, CR7 and Jota for Robertson, Salah. And who's a good forward? Is it worth a -4? Broja or Weghorst, Kerwin. And yes, it is worth a -4. I have Semedo. Was that a terrible choice? Not necessarily. I don't mention him too much because I prefer the other ones. I think they offer better value. And Semedo's attacking threat is a bit overstated, but that doesn't mean it's a bad option. And he actually is a bit more likely to get bonus points than most defenders. So I think that's a good option. Mane or Son for Fernandes? I prefer Son long term, so I'd go for him. Mane's not a bad shout. He's Maybe more enticing this week in Game Week 26, but I prefer Son. Is a -12 for 10 doublers in 26 worth it? I think so. I wouldn't be too bogged down about doublers. So honestly, 7, 8, 9 doublers is fine. But a -12 is also fine this week. Force on Daniel James at some point. If you're looking for a differential, he's probably the best one from Leeds. And other than Rafinha, Daniel James is probably the only one I'd seriously consider. And either way, I probably won't. Yes, Abdul, I took a -8. I got in Weghorst, Salah and Son for the 2 United attackers and Damari Gray. No, I haven't taken a -16 Buster Blade. I've only taken a -8. I might take an additional hit, so it'd be a -12. Thank you, Pierce. Much appreciated as well. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you, Saraf. And likewise, thank you very much. It means a lot. Did you take a hit? Oh, yeah, I already answered that. 9 plays for Game Week 27 with no hits. Free hit or not? 9 plays for Game Week... Well, with a hit, you could get to 11. With a free transfer, you get to 10. I don't think... Oh, with no hits. Okay, so I'm guessing with a hit, it'd be 10. That's still fine, Kelly. It also depends on the quality of these players you have. So if you have Fernandes and Son, I think you're already covering 2 of the best players in that week. Thanks, Sue, for the content. Thank you very much, Mohammed. Region to Wolves defender or Villa defender? Wolves defender will be my preference, so I'd go for them instead for years. On a wildcard, would you keep Bowen or go Rafinha? I'd still keep Bowen, Michael. Transfer Martinelli and Tony. Do I go Broja, Saka with a -4 and 0.9 million in the bank? Is there something I'm missing? Not really. I think those 2 transfers are exceptional, Chad. I'd go for that. Broja's a no-brainer. Yeah, because for 0.9 million more, you can't even afford Weghorst, who is the first striker I would prioritise because of the 2 doubles, and you can always get Broja in 27. I think that's fine, Chad. Favourite Argentinian player? Can't choose Messi. Maradona. Other than Maradona... Oh, God, why did I even say that? I could have just said Maradona and skipped or moved on, should I say. I really like Mascherano. Yeah, maybe not the most exciting player to watch, but I really like Mascherano. Who else is there? I mean, there's quite a lot. Batistuta, Riquelme. I like quite a lot of these players. So, yeah, I probably would just stick to Mascherano because he did so much for the national team. You reckon Trent and Robertson play both? If they do, they would have played 450 minutes in 13 days. I think Robertson is more likely to be benched in one of them. So Tsimikas could easily, fill in for Robertson. I expect Trent to start both. There's not a like-for-like replacement. We wildcarding? No, I'm not, Tobias, no. Best weeks to free hit? Probably 27, 30, 33. But then again, you could also consider 28 and 29 because of the doubles, depending on how your team is structured. How long is Jota out for? It's not confirmed. Klopp said that the full extent of the injury is unknown to them, but he's probably going to miss out the first game. That's what's been reported today anyway. I don't think Klopp necessarily said that he's going to miss out against Norwich, but yeah, I think he's just going to be ruled out anyway. He's not going to play that one. Jota to Saka worth a -4 hit? Yeah, I think it's worth it. Jota to Salah, KDB to Son, DCL to Broja and Region to Cody for a -8. Good transfer, Zach. Looks like a very good -8. Cody or Semedo or Saiss? I probably would go for Saiss or Cody, and maybe I just go for Cody for the extra money, but there's not much in it. I think Saiss, if you have enough money, that's not an issue, then he's arguably the best going forward of the lot. Is Weghorst still the best forward for 26 and 27? I believe so, just because he has 2 doubles, and even if he blanks, he's got a few points in the bag there in those 2 game weeks. But the best striker right now, looking at the next 5 to 10 game weeks, is probably Broja. Start Cancelo or Broja? I'd go for Cancelo, Mario. Thank you very much, Flying Dutchman. It's always a pleasure. Fernandes to Son worth a -4? I think so, but you could always keep Fernandes. He's got a good fixture against Leeds, but I prefer Son, regardless of the double or not. Welcome, Ashwin. Ismail Assar or Daniel James? Ismail Assar, if I had to pick one. 100k subs soon. Wow, that's going to take quite a while, but thank you very much, mate. Much appreciated. Thank you, Chuka. And you didn't have to, but you're a legend, mate. What about a free hit in Game Week 26? With all the people taking hits this week, would it help? That's not a bad idea, and I think it also depends on your team, because if you already have 6+ double game weekers and you've got some very good, players like Salah and Son, I don't think you need to free hit, and maybe the amount of points you gain isn't that much compared to maybe a free hit in 28 or 29 or 27, 30, 33. So you've also got to think about that, how your team would look in those weeks compared to how your free hit team draft would look. So it's a good idea, but I would still be more tempted to use the triple captaincy or even the bench boost in 26 and then push on from there. But thank you very much for that, Chuka. If you have any more questions or comments, let me know. And it's a really good question and comment and idea that you posed there. Mane or Son? Son for me. To be fair, -12 plus your triple captain Salah can cover nicely. Yeah, you'd think so, but you never know with these things. But yeah, what is the best captain in 27? I'd probably look towards either a Burnley player like Weghorst or Son, Bruno Fernandes, Ronaldo. That's where I'd look, or Kane as well. Trent, triple captain 26, good luck. And same with everyone else who's doing that. And that's going to be very interesting to see how much you gain over those who are triple captaining Salah. Thank you very much, Bullet, for the super chat. I mean, that's a very generous donation. Thank you very much, mate. You're a legend. And what an emoji, by the way. I haven't seen that before. Does it give me like a little sign of what it is? No? Okay. But thank you very much, mate. And if you've got a question, then let me know. I think you've already asked them before, but if you've got any more, then let me know. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mickey. Big up yourself, Mickey. Big up yourself. Thank you very much. Arsenal players a must-have. Not a must-have, but I would get 1 or 2. I think that's the sweet spot. Would you recommend doing Laporte to Saiss or maybe Tierney or keep? I like Laporte a lot. I've always been going on about him for the last month or two, but I maybe would go for Saiss if you already have Ramsdale. They're all good though. Wolves defenders, Tierney, they're all good. I'd go for Saiss though. Cody in, Cucurella out. Yes, I probably would, despite the double in 29. Fabinho and Jota have scored 10 goals together in the past 9 matches. Salah's gone while he only scored 2 goals besides penalties from AFCON. Goal from the Champions League was lucky. I still think Salah is just... It's kind of difficult to compare that though, because he came off the bench against Leicester, almost scored twice, and still looked very, very promising. So yeah, Salah will definitely step up again, and he showed that in the Champions League as well. Lacazette, Jimenez, or both? Jimenez out of the 2, because I'd rather have a Saka in midfield as well. If I wildcard for 26, will it erase the hits I've taken? Yes, and it goes for any week. Doesn't matter how many hits you've taken as well. Thank you, Wardy, for the super chat. Much appreciated, mate. You didn't have to. Another legend. So thank you very much. If you got a message as well, then let me know. Hold Emerson Royale. Yeah, I probably would. If I had him, I would as well. So that's a good point. Foden to Rafinha for a -12. I have 7 double game weekers. That's fine, Yusuf. Yeah, I mean, Rafinha's not the greatest player to bring in this week, but he's got a double in 29 as well, or 28 should I say, and a good fixture in 29. It's a good transfer, Yusuf. I'd go for it, but you don't have to. What's happening with Reguilón? Yeah, rumours of positive COVID yet, and he wasn't spotted in training. That's exactly it, Daniel. So if you have him, you're in a bit of a difficult situation, and you might want to get rid, maybe for Tierney or a Wolves defender. Weghorst injury looking good, or no news yet? Sean Dyche talked about it. And he's been optimistic whenever he's spoken about it, and he said he could be available as soon as the Brighton game, which is the first game of Double Gameweek 26. Tierney or Van Dijk? I prefer Tierney, and I'd rather cover Liverpool with Trent and Robertson. Will you triple captain Salah? Yes. Start Cancelo or King? I'd start maybe King, but I'm not really too sure about that one. I feel a bit dirty for saying that, if I can say that. Calvert-Lewin for Lacazette for a 4-point hit. Yeah, that's a good move. If not, Jimenez, Weghorst. Also, Brozier. I would prioritise Weghorst first, and then in the coming weeks you can get in someone like Brozier. Start Foster, Ramsdale. Ramsdale all day long. Dylan does that dance when he gets a green arrow. Yeah. I'll be honest, actually, could I even say this? I actually was quite happy with the late Bruno goal, because I was calling him a fraud all day long. He scores in the 97th minute, and I finally get a green arrow. But yeah, enough of the cringiness. Shaw to Robertson and Jota to Saka from -8. Go for it. I think that's really good. Good set of transfers. Force on free at 28. That's not a bad shout either, actually. I think a free hit could be deployed in 28, 29, any double game week, blank game week 27 or 30. But I'd actually be more tempted by the wild card in 28. What will you do with Jota? I'm either keeping him, and if he doesn't play both games, Dennis comes in. I'm fine with that. Or I take an additional hit and get Saka in, and he would just be the like-for-like replacement. But I'm not too sure about that, because if I take an additional hit, and I've also already got Dennis on the bench, I'm not sure if it's worth it. I'm actually more tempted to make a defender transfer right now. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it pans out. Thank you, Rock and Roll. Good luck to you as well. It's going to be very good to see. And let's see how we are looking right now. So yeah, we've still got around 300 people watching. Much appreciated to all of you. If you haven't already, smash the like button and subscribe for new. We're very close to 10,000 subscribers. Probably around 50 off right now. I have to check that as well. Quite a lot to keep up with here. So let's refresh this and see. Yeah, so we are 42 subscribers away from 10,000. So if you haven't already, please consider subscribing and check out the description below for all the description. Well done, Dylan. For the Twitter and Instagram, Dylan RCM, also the Discord server and the channel memberships. You can become a channel member and support the channel even further with a lot of perks there. Yes, I'm using my triple captaincy Cohen. Jota to Fabinho. Honestly, I wouldn't go for Fabinho. Is Jota not playing? He's not playing the first game, but he could start the second one. Play Rafinha or Tarkowski? Oof. I tend to favour the attackers, but the fixtures are pretty poor. Maybe... That's tough. I try to start both, if possible. If I had to pick, I'd go for Rafinha. Best manager potential, Gerrard or Lampard? I haven't seen much of Gerrard, but I'd probably go for him. Lampard's not as bad as some people say, though. I think he laid the foundations for Chelsea, even though obviously he spent a lot of money. But he did very well in that first season to get Chelsea into the Champions League with a transfer ban. Bowen equals knock. Would he start? I still think he will. I think he will start. But yeah, I haven't heard about Bowen having a knock. That's the first time I've heard that. Start one, Foden, King or Dennis? I would go for Dennis. When is it worth free hitting? 27, 30, 28, 29, 33. I think any of these game weeks, even 26. I think it depends on your team, but any of those game weeks will look fine. I'm more leaning towards 30, 27, 33. Who would you choose, Dylan? Edouard, Risco Minutes or Zaha? I prefer Edouard still, but yeah, Zaha recently not much difference with Edouard actually. Ward-Prowse or Cornet? I actually prefer Ward-Prowse, but Cornet's not bad either. You think Robertson will get benched? I think he'll start both, but he is more likely to be benched than Trent or Salah. Jimenez or Edouard for the long-term King replacement? Right now, I'd probably go for Jimenez because he's got a fixture in 30 as well. He's got doubles in 28. Let me check that again. Yeah, 28 and 26, and he plays in 27. Is Weghorst likely to play both games? I think so, Anish. If he's all clear for the Brighton game, he will probably play both games 90 minutes. If he's got a few maybe issues, he's not fully fit, he might not get the full 90 in one of them. Start Fost over De Gea? Yeah, because of the double. Yeah, I haven't heard anything, Denin. I'm not sure. Start Jota or Broja? I'd just start Jota. Yeah. Ronaldo to Jimenez? Yep, good move. Jota out 4. Can't be Son, Saka, Coutinho. Okay, yeah, that's pretty much 3 of the names I would have recommended. Jota out 4. Cornet? If you don't have Weghorst, I think I'd probably go for Cornet out of those lot. If not, Jacob Ramsey. I think Jacob Ramsey looks fantastic. Who to bench out of Cancelo, Digne or Cucurella? I would bench Cucurella. Do you think Coutinho or Rafinha for Jota? Coutinho, Arba. Start Watkins or Ramsey? I'd go for Ramsey based on current form. Maupay or Broja? Who do I start? I'd go for Maupay, but there's not much in it. Play Cancelo, Ramsey or Tarkowski? I'd go for the double game week and go for Tarkowski. Salah plus Trent plus Ramsey or Salah, Trent, Fabinho? Salah, Trent and Ramsey, Krishna. Got a bench of De Gea, Cancelo, Broja and Lamptey. Bench boost or triple captain Salah? Good bench, but I'd triple captain Salah. Yeah, I've already checked Bobby. I haven't seen anything, but if anyone does see anything, then let me know. That'd be very interesting to see. And yeah, Bowen injury, there's 100 tweets about it. Let me see if I can see anything. Bowen... Yeah, I think it's to do with him limping off when he came over to the fans at the end of the Leicester game. I'm not sure if it's anything serious, but yeah, haven't seen too much about it, so it's not like a reliable source is saying he's out or something. Yeah, I don't think it should be an issue, but you never know. With FPL, I probably shouldn't say that. Weghorst injury, he could play, mate. In the first game as well against Brighton, Sean Dyche said he could be available as soon as the Brighton game, so shouldn't be too bad. Thank you, Woody, for another super chat. Much appreciated, mate. You didn't have to. God bless. Thank you very much. Got a bench of De Gea, Cancelo, Broja and Lamptey. Bench boost or triple captain Salah? It's a good bench. I honestly would go for the triple captain on Salah, as I told you earlier. I definitely would go for that. It's a good bench, but I think you'll have better benches later on in the season. But yeah, it's good. Captaining Salah, yeah. Salah, well, I mean, there's also Trent. He's the only other one I'd consider this week. But yeah, Salah for me, triple captain, and later on you can bench boost. So if you wildcard in 28, you could have the possibility of bench boosting in 29. I think that looks pretty good. So thank you very much, Wardy. Much appreciated, and have a great day as well. Should I triple captain Salah this week? If you think he's going to do well, I would triple captain him because you're not going to get a better set of doubles for any player, especially of that quality like Salah. So I would go for it. Bench order, Cancelo, Ramsey, Soufal. Soufal will be last actually. It would be Cancelo first, Ramsey second. Would you take Rafinha out for Saka? Probably not actually. Which goalkeeper to play, Ramsdale or Sarr? Ramsdale. Jota out for Pogba. No double for United. I'd go for someone else like Coutinho, Saka, Cornet, etc. Yeah, like I told you before, Nasir, I think Robertson won't be benched in either fixture, but there's still the possibility, you know. The possibility exists. Tierney or Matip? Tierney all day long for me. Play Diaz or Dyer? I would play... Yeah, Dyer's back now. I'd go for Dyer. Weghorst or Cornet? I'd go for Weghorst because there's fewer options available up front as opposed to midfield where you can go for quite a lot of different midfielders over Cornet. Who is best to replace Jota? Not Rafinha and no Arsenal player. I think Coutinho. If you're looking long term, it has to be Coutinho. Coutinho or Ramsey? I'd probably say Ramsey because even if he starts dipping in form, you can just bench him and it improves your squad depth and gives you more money to spend on the rest of your squad. I still like Coutinho though. Tarkowski, Cancelo and Trent in defence. I have Cody on the bench. Should I swap him for Cancelo? I wouldn't bench Cody this week, even if it's for someone like Cancelo. Who is... I already said that. Coutinho, Ramsey. Bench Ramsey or Cancelo? I'd bench Ramsey, but both are good. I'd be a bit apprehensive of either. Pope, Weghorst, Rodriguez from Burnley, and Elise bench boost instead of Salah triple. That looks pretty good actually, Joe, but... Oh, that's a lot of double game weekers, isn't it? I still would go for Salah triple captain, but... You know, having so many double game weekers on your bench, it does make sense to bench boost as well. Either options is fine, you know. Digne or Cancelo? Cancelo. Son or Saka? If Saka, then only 10 players in Gameweek 27. I still prefer Son. And you can always bring Saka in later on. Wildcard cancels, hits taken. Yep, the same goes for the free hit, Michael. Bring in Ramsdale or leave Foster? If you can, I'd bring in Ramsdale. Who to play? Cancelo, Digne, Cancelo, mate. Robertson or Van Dijk? Robertson. Who will you start? Webster or Davis? I'd go for Davis in the double game weeker. Ramsdale or Sarr? Ramsdale. Why is Super Chat available not in my region? I'm not sure, to be honest. And either way, thank you very much. You don't have to send a Super Chat. But yeah, sometimes some countries it's not available, I think. And yeah, actually, I just realised my video, I think the live stream got flagged whilst we were streaming. That's what I mentioned before. But now it's completely approved and fine. That's why people are able to send Super Chats now. So I'm not sure why that would be the case. We are now 39 subscribers away from 10,000. So thank you very much. If there's a stream tomorrow or on Sunday, the reaction stream, we could hit it by then. But it would be much appreciated. And yeah, just thank you to everyone who's already liked the video as well. Let's see how many likes we're on. 145. Let's try to get to 150. That would be much appreciated. So thank you to all of you. And we've gone through quite a lot today. If you want to see a breakdown of all the best players for Double Gameweek 28 and 29, then check out the beginning of this stream. So I go for every single team and talk about the best players for each of them. And the only change I'd make is also recommend Ismaila Sarr for Watford, but the rest would be pretty much the same. The vice captaincy is on Trent, as you can see there. Let's see, what else have we got? Size Coutinho to De Bruyne Region. Oh, I'm guessing it's the other way around. Yeah, that looks good, Ali. Good set of transfers, and I probably would go for it. Welcome, Odai. Not much is going on. What about you? Just this stream, which is very entertaining for me. Ronaldo or Messi? I prefer Messi, and maybe an element of bias, but yeah, I prefer Messi. Mane, a good option. Yeah, he is, especially for Gameweek 26, but I'm not necessarily sure he is long term, so I'd probably go for Son instead. How likely is Ronaldo to start? I think he will. I don't know about percentages. I guess an 80% chance of starting, but yeah. If it's a case of Ronaldo or Salah, obviously go for Salah all day long, and even Son. I'd rather have Son. Wow, we're getting quite a lot of super chats with like emojis and stuff, so thank you, Lager, much appreciated for sending that in, and thank you to everyone else who's done that and all the channel members. It's all much appreciated, and yeah, hopefully more good vibes heading into the Gameweek 26 deadline. Who to play, Livramento or Cancelo? Cancelo. Do you think Smith Rowe will start? I think he'll start the first game, not the second one. Play Cornet or Cancelo? Weghorst up front already. I'd play Cornet because of the double. Oh, yeah. Okay, look, Abdul, I'll be honest. I read the first half of your sentence. So, mate, you're talking 2 hours non-stop. And I thought, wow, what are you going to say next? As in, you're going to say something bad. But thank you very much. And yeah, I'm going to have a little water break. And I think dinner's ready right now, but I'll probably wait a little bit longer since there's so many of you here. So thank you very much. So just a little water break. I forgot to take one, actually. All right, so we're back. So yeah, thank you once again, Laga. Please rate triple captain or bench boost. Good bench. I would still triple captain Salah. It's kind of the same theme all day long, except for people who have a lot of double game weekers. I probably would still recommend the triple captaincy in most cases. The team looks very good, by the way. You've got Trent, Robertson, Aït-Nouri. I mean, you can't get much better than that. Your midfield looks solid. Some differentials in there like Elise and Cornet. I like the look of your team. I'd actually start... Yeah, I'd start Ronaldo over Broja, though. That is what I would change in your team, but the rest looks fine. Jota to who? Saka, Coutinho. I'd go for one of those two, in all likelihood. What's all the fuss about Verkos? Yeah, true, he hasn't scored a goal. And he's only had, I think, one big chance and one big chance created. But I think he's actually had some very good performances, you know. And against Liverpool, probably should have scored. Against United, he was very good. He was man of the match. And... he's got 2 doubles in a row. That's the main appeal with him. So that's why I got him in. There's no one really up front that... I mean, look, if we had so many high-scoring, you know, strikers like Ronaldo, Dennis, Vardy, Kane, etc., then you wouldn't really think of Verkos. But because we have no one, I think the spotlight is more shone on him. I think, if that makes any sense, I think that's why. Who's your favourite player? Probably Messi, to kind of give a different answer. And, you know, a lot of people might not know him, De Paul, right now. For Argentina. So yeah, I'd go for De Paul. Son or Fernandes this game week? I'd still go for Son, but I like Fernandes too. Captain Trent, I think if you want a differential, I'd go for it, but Salah for me all day long. Trent would be second best. Yeah, Nassi, I already answered that question several times, mate. So yeah. Dylan, you're sick, bruv. Should be on AFTV. Thank you, KM. Some people hate AFTV, so it depends how you look at it, but thank you very much. Bench Gay, Eduard or Cancelo? I would bench Gay, I think, yeah. Jota to Zaha and Dawson to Van Dijk. Yep, that looks good. I'm not a huge fan of Van Dijk long term because I'd rather have other players, but I like that too. What's for dinner, mate? It's a Friday, so I think it's Italian food. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll let you guys know maybe after, so if we do a stream tomorrow or Sunday. Tierney, Matip or Laporte? I'd go for Tierney right now of the 3. Rafinha for Jota, it's a good move. I would rather go for Coutinho or Saka, but that looks good. I did a -8 now. My team is Edison, Cancelo, Arnold, White, Son, Saka. Do you think I should replace another player from -12? I don't think you need to, Bodie, or Body. Maybe Bodie. I don't know why I said that. Yeah, I think we spoke about your team earlier. I don't think you need to make another hit, but it looks good. Your team's in good shape. And with another hit, what could you do? Maybe, let's see. I mean, Edison, I'm not a huge fan of, if that's who you have in goal, by the way. That's the only player you could get rid of. Region, because of the doubts surrounding him right now. So Region to a Wolves defender, I think that's what I would do, Body. Who's your favourite goalkeeper? Of all time, probably Casillas. You know, I grew up watching him. But I like quite a few goalkeepers. Right now, probably Ramsdale, kind of biased there as well. And Martinez. Yeah, bro, just take a rest. Great stream. Thank you very much. You inhuman or what? I definitely am human, but thank you very much. My voice is still going, so yeah, and it's a bit of fun. Some new questions as well. But yeah, we will be wrapping up soon. I'm not sure exactly when, but I'll let you guys know. Bernardo to Fabinho. Once again, Fabinho, not for me. I just don't see it. I got Bowen and Digne on my bench with Aït-Nouri at least playing. Should I prioritise double game week player or Bowen Digne? Well, if you've got Bowen on my bench, should I prioritize? I think that's fine. I would probably go for Bowen over Elise, actually, Fadzil, but you don't have to. Thank you, Justin. Much appreciated. Thank you as well, Nighthawk, or Night HWK, but I'm guessing it's Hawk. Ronaldo, Bernardo, and Bruno out for Salah, Lacazette, and Son for a -8. I'd do that R1. Yeah. Ramsdale in for a -8. Yes, I would. And by the way, R1, actually it was the L1 button. Yeah, recently I broke my PS5 controller. I think it was the L1 button that came out. or something. But actually, the triangle button is the one with permanent damage. Anyway, Son or Fernandes? Son. How many double game week players should I have at least? Once again, I'd probably say 6+ is fine. Anything else is a bonus. Is Sarr nailed when fully fit and available? Yes, I think he is. And he's probably the best option other than Dennis right now, yeah. Jota and Antonio out for, let's get this out, for Saka and Verkhorst, -8. Yep, that looks good, Mahad. I'd go for it. Zaha or Cornet out, or Saha or Cornet in for Jota. I prefer Cornet out of the two. Not free hitting in 27. Yeah, fair enough. I'd go for Cornet. If I get rid of Gray, I have 6.6 million. Who would be a good mid replacement? Saka. If you have Saka already, then I would go for. I think Rafinha's just over actually. Yeah, Cornet would be the other one, but Saka's my main one. And Jacob Ramsey. Jacob Ramsey would be above Cornet in the pecking order as well. Good choice for -8. Coutinho, Digne, Jimenez for DCL, Laporte, and Rafinha for this game week and long term. Yes. I do like those transfers. I'm not sure if I'd bring in Digne this week, but I like those transfers long term, Jonathan. Evening, been at the cinemas, so missed a lot. What did you watch, Harry? I've actually seen Uncharted recently. I saw, obviously, Spider-Man when it came out a few months back. I'm going to watch Batman. Hopefully that's really good. Could you summarise your early thoughts and plans? So yeah, Harry, obviously I recommend if you have time, I'd recommend watching the beginning of the stream. I went through every single team that doubles in 28 and 29. I talked about the fixtures, and I also talked about the best players for each team, and I'd also include Ismaila Sarr in the Watford section. And in terms of my plans and stuff like that, right now, it's basically just a question of do I hold and stick with the -8 I took for Salah, Verkhorst and Son for the 2 United attackers and Damari Gray, or do I take an additional hit, maybe get a Wolves defender right now in for Cucurella, and if I wanted to get rid of Livramento for a Wolves defender, I would need a bit of money, and that would mean another -4, so we're talking about -16 overall. Jota out for Saka, and if not, it could just be Jota out for Saka and just keep the defence as it is. So that's pretty much the conundrum. I might put a poll out after the stream is gone and see what you lot are saying, but yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts at the moment in terms of my team. And going forward, my team looks pretty decent actually in Game Weeks 28 and 29, but with a few transfers or maybe some chips, I could also enhance my probabilities in those game weeks as well. Luis Diaz for Jota. I think it's a nice 1 week punt. I'm not sure if I'd like that longer term though. But yeah, Luis Diaz is not a bad shout. Should I take a -20 hit for a triple captain Salah or wild card? Look, I would be more open-minded about hits this week, but I'm -20, and if you're looking at more transfers on top of that, then you might as well wild card. But you're not going to get too many more opportunities with a triple captaincy like Salah with those fixtures. Could you explain your thinking process about Rafinha better than Dennis this game week? I like that United fixture for Rafinha, and also with Dennis, he's shown some very poor form. But I'll be honest, that's kind of the main conundrum. Is it Rafinha or Dennis in my starting 11? And also possibly you could say Verkhorst, even though I just brought him in, or Edouard. So you make a good point there. I might even bring off Rafinha for Dennis. That's something I'm yet to decide fully on, so that's a good point. Start Rafinha or Broja? Rafinha. What will be the result between Arsenal and Wolves? I mean, we won, or should I say Arsenal won recently by the very finest of margins and didn't really play that well. I think I'd go for something similar. 2-1 I'd go for Arsenal, but I think Wolves could get a result there, a good team. Do you think Robertson will start both games? I think so, but there's the chance that Tsimikas will get a game soon, whether it's in 26, 28 or something else. Which club do you support? I support Arsenal in the Premier League. Let's see, what else have we got here? Would you do Antonio to Jimenez now for a -4 and bench Ramsey? Yeah, I probably would actually. And you also covered for the long term, Chris. What else do you have? Jimenez, Cody plus Ramsdale, Saka for their game week together. Yeah, that looks good, mate. I'd do that. How many doublers do you plan to have in 28 and 29? Let's talk about this once again. So this is how my team looks in 28 and 29. So I would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait, can I count? 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 doublers right now in 28. I could increase that number as well, especially with a wild card in that game week. And in 29, I've got 5 as well. Yeah, it looks pretty decent in both weeks. I'd say my Game Week 29 score looks even better, especially with the captaincy situation. But yeah, I think if you have 7+ doublers in 26, 28 and 29, you're all set. And if you can get an 11 and 27, you're looking good. But you also want to still be using the free hits at some point, whether it's in one of those game weeks I just said, or in Game Week 30, 33, etc. Game Week 30, Obviously, this isn't fully updated yet in terms of who blanks or not, but right now I think there's only 4 games going on in Gameweek 30, so I'm still looking to free hit then. But yeah, I think if I can get 7+ in 28 and 29, I'd be pretty happy with that. Uncharted, excited for the Batman, Jurassic World and Doctor Strange. Let me know what you thought of Uncharted, Harry. I played all the games. I was a huge fan. Well, I still am. I'm actually playing the remaster recently as well. Yeah, the film, yeah, I don't know, like, it's enjoyable. It's an enjoyable film, but they got quite a lot of different stuff. It works for the film, but not necessarily, it doesn't live up to the games. I think the story could have been much better, the casting as well. It's a shame, but Batman I'm looking forward to a lot, actually. And Doctor Strange, yeah, that trailer looks very good. And Sam Raimi's directing it, you know, same one as Spider-Man. Yeah, I think it's going to be good. And probably quite a lot of cameos in there. I'm guessing people are right now saying, why are you going about Sam Raimi? Just talk about my team, man. Bench Eduardo King. I would bench King, actually. Dino Cancelo, leaning towards Cancelo. I agree, mate. I'd go for Cancelo over Digne. Start Foster or De Gea and start Laporte or Digne. I already have Cancelo. I'd start Foster and I would go for Digne, Jono. Deadly for you too. Puts his team and then a -8 transfer. Moura to Son, Livramento to Saiss, Ronaldo to Jimenez. I like all those transfers. I prefer Weghorst over Jimenez, but there's not much in it. Jimenez doesn't blank in 30 as well, which is very good. I need to double check with Weghorst, but I still prefer Weghorst just a little bit more, and those transfers look very good, Deadly. I must say, you always deliver with good advice. Thank you, bro. Thank you, Cohen. Obviously, sometimes I will get things wrong, and I'm just offering my opinion at the end of the day, but thank you very much, mate. Which one to start, Laporte, Gallagher or Broja? I would go for Gallagher for that Watford fixture, but I don't mind starting Broja either. Bench King or Bowen? I would probably bench King. Get Martinelli out for Saka from -4. Yes, I would, yeah. Denon puts his team, rate my team. I like it. You've got some differentials in there like Lacazette and Firmino. I'm not a big fan of Firmino going forward. I like Sarr though. That could be quite interesting. Your midfield looks good. Your defence as well. Double Burnley defence though. I think one's enough. I'm not sure if you're free hitting. If you are, I would suggest checking out my best wildcard and free hit team video, which I uploaded today, and see if you can maybe get some ideas from there as well. But that team looks good. Weghorst to Watkins, or Verkusen for Watkins. Yep, that looks good. Dylan, please give me a shout out to my boy Kaj. It's his birthday today. Safe, bro. Happy birthday to Kaj. Obviously, hopefully you have a blessed time with your family and friends. And thank you, KM, for bringing that to my attention. Obviously, just a few hundred people watching, but still, you know, all of you, wish Kaj a happy birthday. You know, that's very good. Back after gardening, I'm watching from the gym. Glad you're still here. Thank you, John. We're probably wrapping up a bit soon. And I'll admit, I'm quite struggling now to even speak. But yeah, we're going to be ending it soon. I'm going to have dinner as well. But yeah, if you've got any more questions or comments that I haven't answered by the end of this live stream, leave them down in the comment section below and I'll try to get back to as many of you as possible. Is it okay to go for Mane instead of Salah? Honestly, I wouldn't do it. I just go for Salah, and the difference between the two statistically and also in terms of goal output is incredible this season. I just go for Salah. Son is so tempting for that Gameweek 29 fixture, but Saka is easily affordable. That's the thing. When people ask, do I go for Son or Saka? Saka's way cheaper, so it gives you more options elsewhere. I prefer Son, but there's a huge difference in price, you know, around 4 million. So, yeah, I agree. That's a good point. Coutinho and Saiss or Ramsey and Nuri? I would go for... That's a good question. Maybe Coutinho and Saiss, but I like Ramsey a lot. Broja or Elise? And do you think Elise will start? I think he will, but he might be benched in one of those games. I'm not sure which one. The same goes for Edouard. And I prefer Broja long term, by the way, but for Gameweek 26, I would start Elise for the double. Get Martinelli out. Yep, I would do that, Nasir. Thank you, Jono. Sarr will probably start for Watford, which will change the dynamic of Watford attackers. Yeah, I think they will improve a little bit. I mean, they haven't shown much since Roy Hodgson has come in offensively, but yeah, I think Sarr could be quite impressive and important. I think you make a really good point there, and Sarr could definitely be one to look out for in midfield. I haven't mentioned him enough. I think that's a good shout. I've done so many transfers, not sure how many hits I've taken. How can I check? Okay, so let me actually show you. So check my screen right now. So if you go to the FPL website, or even your FPL app, there's going to be a section that tells you how many transfers you made. So, oh my God, am I even bugging out? Yeah, so if you go to the FPL website or even your FPL app, if you go all the way down to the right-hand side, you're not going to see it on screen right now because I've cropped my thing. Actually, what am I doing? Here we go. So hopefully that's good enough. If you look at the right-hand side, it will show you game week transfers, and that will show you. In terms of hits though, if you've kind of lost count, just think, did I have one free hit, or should I have one free hit? If I had one free transfer, if you made 3 transfers overall, that's a -8 hit overall. So that's how it works. I think typically, the way I was looking at it, and I got this wrong actually, if you check the points section, it will tell you how many transfers you've made, and it will even tell you hits. So here, look, I took a -4 in Game Week 24. But yeah, for Game Week 26, you have to check that. And also, actually, there's going to be a section, view transfer history. So here, if you view transfer history on the FPL website, you can see how many transfers you made or which transfers you made exactly. But once again, you don't see if you've taken hits or not. But yeah, thank you for bringing that to my attention. Hopefully you got an answer there. But yeah, that's a good point actually, in terms of there's no way of, they don't actually show you the amount of hits you've taken. Unless I've made a mistake somewhere, there's probably something that tells you. So now let's get back to this screen and let's see what else we can answer. All right. Thank you, Mickey. Thank you for your compliment, and thank you for tuning in. Yeah, Ashwin, the storm, it's not as bad here as it is in other places, but I think in a local park, like one tree got split in 2 or something like that, and it literally just fell in the park. Like, it's quite crazy right now, but it's worse in other areas. Region to Tierney Gabriel for a hit, or just start Gay. Also, which one of Tierney Gabriel? I mean, it's not the worst idea to start Gay, but I would probably do Region to Tierney Kush, and Gabriel's also fine. So Region for Sice? Yes, I definitely would. Always appreciate the advice. Thank you, Jono. I appreciate you tuning in. Would you transfer out Eduardo to Jimenez? I probably wouldn't. Not this week anyway. Will Elise start? I think he might be benched in one of the 2, but yeah, I can't tell you for sure if he's going to start both. I would still go for Elise just in case, because if he starts both, I think his ceiling is higher. Saka plus Bruno plus Adams, Broja, Workhorse, or Mane, Bernardo, Broja, or Son, Bernardo, Adams, Broja, Workhorse. That's tough. Out of those 3 strikers you mentioned, I like Broja the most long term, but Workhorse looks good for the next 2. And Saka, Bruno, Adams, or any of those strikers you mentioned look good. I'd go for the first set of players you mentioned, Bard. Well, at least, yeah, I already answered that. It was good. I personally would recommend the games of the movie to people. 2 hours isn't enough to connect to Drake, in my opinion. Yeah, exactly. And I also just think it's better written. The action as well is arguably better, although some action set pieces were actually impressive in the film. And I'll be honest, I was kind of skeptical from the beginning about the casting, but I like the chemistry between the 2 main characters. But I don't think they're Drake and Sully. I think Nathan Fillion would have been a much better Nathan Drake, but they were going for a younger version. So thanks for the stream. Enjoy dinner, my friend. God bless you. Thank you, Lager. The same goes for you. God bless you. Thank you very much for tuning in again. First time on the channel. Excellent work. Subscriber tick. Thank you, Kim. Thank you very much. Let's actually check the subscriber count. I think we should be getting closer to the elusive 10,000, you could say. Still 200 people watching. Thank you very much. We've got 10 subscribers since the last time we did a subscriber check. So we're 29 away from 10,000. So thank you very much. In terms of the likes, we're almost at 200. Let's get to 200. We can definitely do that. So if you haven't already, smash the like button and subscribe if you're new. And just thank you very much to everyone for tuning in. As always, it's much appreciated. And now, back to your questions. Yeah, I was thinking, yeah, let's just go back to your questions, actually. We already went in detail about the Double Gameweek 28 and 29 players earlier in the stream. If you missed that, check it after the stream has ended, and you will have some in-depth analysis about the best players for that. I can also make a separate video for that as well later on. Also, crazy work on these lives. Good job, mate. Thank you, Harry. Thank you for tuning in as always. And, good can't even speak. Good moderating work. Jesus. Favourite Arsenal player ever? Probably Unreal Bergkamp, but I like Perez a lot. I think he's underrated. I'd go for one of those 2 though. Any Arsenal triple captainers out there? Surely not. But you never know. Play Cucurella or Malpai against Burnley? I would favour Malpai actually from the 2. If I have Ramsdale and a Wolves defender, who should I transfer in for Region? I would go for Tierney. If not, yeah, I'll probably just still go for Tierney. One Wolves defender is enough. I'd rather double up on Arsenal defence, but then you could look at it the other way. Wolves have a fixture in 30 and 27. Arsenal blank in 27. So it's quite a difficult one. Yeah, I'd still go for Tierney though. Let's see, what else have we missed? Rate this team. -4 Antonio to Verkhorst not freeing in 27. I like that transfer. Your team looks solid otherwise. I think Smith Rowe's the only other transfer I would recommend FPL Dream. Yeah. So Smith Rowe to Saka, even though Smith Rowe will probably play one game, but Saka's just, more nailed longer term, and I think he's a better option. I just sound like a duck there. Yeah, I'd probably do Smith Rowe and Antonio out. I would do that. You don't have to do that Smith Rowe transfer though. -12 hit, which two to bench? Bowen, Brozier, Diaz, Foden, 9 double game weekers. I would bench Diaz, and between Brozier and Foden, I'd definitely start Bowen. Diaz is definitely benched. I'm not sure about the other two, Foden or Brozier. I might go for Brozier there, but I think they're both good. Thank you, FPL Dream, much appreciated. I'll probably be knackered after, but it was a bit of fun anyway. Well, a lot of fun. Under the transfer and finance section, you can view transfer history. Exactly, that's what I showed, but maybe not the greatest demonstration. Yeah, that's a good point. Any chance games are off due to Storm? Not right now, but the thing is, the Storm actually calmed down a little bit in the evening, so it should be better by tomorrow, but you never know. In some parts of the country, it could be an issue. That's a good point you make there. Something I didn't mention today. Just stumbled upon your stream in my recommended section. You have just done yourself a sub, mate. Thanks for the advice. Thank you, Mr. President. What a name. I've butchered that. But yeah, thank you very much for subscribing. And much appreciated. Hopefully, I can see you in future streams as well for UCL Fantasy and FPL. Would you wildcard this week if you only have one free hit? I'm not sure what your team is like, but I still wouldn't. I'd look to wildcard maybe in 28. But for some people, it actually makes sense to wildcard this week, maybe free hit in 27 or in 30 or something else. But yeah, with one free hit, I would definitely be very careful with when you use it. Those with two have a bit more luxury. I've been listening to you from the beginning. I'm tired listening, but not bored. Yeah, fair enough. Your energy is truly amazing. Well done. You should get more recognition in the FPL community. Thank you very much, FPL Dream. And thank you to everyone for tuning in. I don't even know what to say to that. Obviously, just thank you. I'm tired listening. Yeah, that's a good way of summing up, actually. I have Ramsdale, Trent, Digne, Robertson, Gabriel, Salah, Bowen, Son, Coutinho, Ramsey, Verkhorst for my 11. I have Edouard. Who should I bench? I would bench one of Coutinho, Ramsey. Actually, no. Scratch that. Wait, Ramsdale, Trent, Digne, Robertson, Gabriel. I would bench Digne, Albert. Hi, Dylan. You always give top advice. Love your content. Thank you, Deadly, for you too. Hopefully you like the suggestions or the feedback on your transfers, which look very good anyway. 10k will be amazing. Well done, mate. Are you doing this as a full-time job or hobby? Hobby, really. Anything else is a bonus. Pretty much. But yeah, we're very close to 10,000 subscribers. I think just 20 or so away. And we're 9 likes away from 200. So let's get that to 200 likes. We probably will by the end of the stream. Yeah, we're 23 subscribers away from 10,000. So a lot of subscribers today. Thank you very much to everyone who decided to subscribe. Let's get back to your questions again. Hello, Dylan. Will Reguilon start? I think he's not going to start the first game. He's not spotted in training. There's rumours of a suspected COVID issue. Maybe he will start the second one, but I'm not sure if he will be available in time due to all the... Well, in terms of the actual restrictions and stuff and the... I was going to say lockdown periods. What am I on about? I think you know what I mean anyway. In terms of the recovery time and when he's actually available, I'm not sure if it fits within the 2 games, but I think he's going to start the second one and miss out the first one based on what we've seen right now. Tierney or Ramsdale? If I could only do one, Ramsdale. Cornet or Sarr? I need to say Cornet or Cornetto. I'd probably go for Cornet, but I'm interested in Sarr. The only reason I'm going for Cornet is because 2 doubles in a row. That's really the only reason. Otherwise, it's kind of maybe I'd lean more towards Sarr. Hello, Dylan. Will Reguilon start? Oh my God, what am I doing? Ramsdale, Diaz, Cancelo, Trent. So this is Tom's team. Should I take any 4-point hits this week? I don't think you need to, but I would with Smith Rowe. I'd get rid of him. And what else? Yeah, I mean, because if you take any additional hits, you'd be benching players like Cancelo, potentially. Well, either way you can't. Well, actually, no, yeah. You've got Diaz in your starting 11. Okay, what I would do is Smith Rowe out for Saka. And I would do Diaz out for a Wolves defender, Tom. Yeah, and another thing you could do, or at least consider in the coming weeks, is Tony out for Verkhorst or even for Brozier. I think that would look also very good. You could even take a -4, -8 for all these transfers I said. That's fine. And yeah, I think you're pretty well set, actually. I'm clinging on to KDB as a differential. Worth taking him out for some for a points hit. I think it's worth the hit, but That's a good point. You know, I do like the fact, you know, keeping someone like Bruno Fernandes or KDB looks enticing. I just think it's worth the hit though for Son, and also in Game Week 29 a good double for Spurs. I would probably take the hit, but you don't have to, and KDB could be that trump card for you. Have 8 double game week players for 26, -8 Bruno to Son, Jota to Saka, Foster to Ramsdale, Livermore to Wolves defender 27 to Phil, all 11, free hit and 28, free hit 30, wildcard and 31 to exit. That looks like a very good strategy. I'm not sure if the bench boost will be as appealing in 36, but it could still be very appealing nonetheless. Lilovac, that's a great strategy, I think, on paper. Things can change, you know, injuries and other circumstances, more doubles and blanks. That could change your line of thinking. But right now, looks like a solid plan, and I like the transfers you suggested as well. Start Maddison or Brozier in my draft league. Wait, 1 second. Who are Leicester playing? I know it sounds a bit botty to say that. Okay, so I would go for Brozier, yeah. Spurs Stadium roof blowing around like a towel on a clothesline in the wind. Twitter has pictures. Yeah, even now, despite the storm coming down a little bit. Yeah, it could be an issue in the coming days, but hopefully it isn't, because I'm tired of, you know, postponements. It could be another case of, you know, game weeks 33 or whatever, 36 have even more doubles, and it's going to be quite nerve-wracking, you could say. Bournemouth game cancelled to Storm. How about if Liverpool game gets cancelled? Oh, yeah, don't even say that. Yeah, I mean, it could be a thing, but it's mainly today that the storm is really bad, and it was kind of projected from days ago, but we just have to wait and see how things line up tomorrow. That's the risk of making early transfers, and this is coming from someone who made transfers even early on in the week than most people. But yeah, we just got to wait and see. You know, it's kind of out of our hands right now. What else is there? So, keep up the good work. You have 100k before you know it. Thank you very much, mate. Much appreciated. Obviously, still a long way to go. A lot of work to go to get through before getting that milestone. But let's get to 10,000 first, and then we can focus on more. But thank you very much to everyone who's already subscribed. I'm going to differential forwards Lacazette and Firmino. Hopefully that pays off for you. I like the Lacazette move even long term. Firmino could be very good in Game Week 26, and hopefully he gets the starts for you. There isn't rumours of a COVID case. Conte confirmed it. Fair enough, yeah, more. Thank you very much. And with Region anyway, I think if it wasn't for that and he was in training and everything, I would have actually recommended him this week. But yeah, it's a shame. I think Region owners have had it tough recently. Yeah, storm damaged Bournemouth Stadium's roof, and that's why it was postponed. Yeah, I mean, the same could happen to Spurs. I heard they had like a system where the wind doesn't really affect their stadium too much and it doesn't get too much damage, but who knows at this point. Planning on Brownhill to Saka, Jota to Salah, and Ronaldo to Edouard for a -4. I like those transfers. If I were to maybe recommend anything different, maybe Verkhorst or Brozier instead of Edouard, but I like those transfers. Steve C. What are you thinking to do with your striker spots? I think Brozier would be the main striker I'd want. And yeah, that's a good question, you know. Because Dennis also has a double. I'm going to give Watford another chance. So if Dennis shows signs of improvement in the coming weeks, then I would maybe consider keeping him. And it could be Edouard actually, you know, being sold, despite the fact that 2 weeks ago everyone was looking to get him in on a wild card. You know, things change very quickly. Even Verkhorst, after the 2 doubles in 27, he could make way for Brozier. So I think not much would change, because right now the strikers don't look that great. But Brozier would come in for one of these strikers, maybe Verkhorst or Edouard. First timer got Ramsdale, Sarr, Bowen, Trent with 3.2 million in the bank and take an 8-point hit with Jota to Salah, KDB to Son, and Antonio to Rodriguez. Yeah, that looks good. I think I'd be a bit put off Rodriguez with Verkhorst probably being available for both games. I do like the other 2 moves though. But yeah, Antonio to Rodriguez I'd be a bit sceptical about. If you can afford it, go for Verkhorst or Brozier instead. Play 2, Coutinho, King, Dennis. I'd play Dennis, and then I don't know, I'd still go for King, I guess, for the double. Great stream, bro, well done. Thinking of taking Sarr, but I love all my midfielders. Yeah, exactly. If you already are happy with your midfielders, there's no point going for it. But maybe something to keep an eye on in the coming weeks, I think. Who should I take out? If you were to bring someone out, maybe Smith Rowe, because he's the least nailed of the lot. Triple captain, Game Week 28. Wildcard 30, free hit. Or am I reading it wrong? No, Game Week 26 triple captain, Game Week 28 wildcard, Game Week 30 free hit, Game Week 36 bench boost. Yeah, that looks good. When to use the extra free hit? Yeah, I would... Good question. I'd say either Game Week 33 or 27 probably look the best, but then maybe Game Week 29 could be another one. As for Game Week 36 bench boost, it's not as appealing as it was before. I don't think it's going to be as big of a double game week as we anticipated. My brother has 11 double game week players and his bench boosting is about to get 100 plus points. Wow. Yeah, hopefully. Unless you have a little rivalry with him. But anyway, yeah, that looks good. Imagine that, 11 double game week players. And he could actually be in a good position going into the future as well. Lacra or Jimenez, or should I keep CR7 and get Saka instead? I prefer Jimenez out of the two. And should I keep CR7? I think keeping CR7 for one more week wouldn't hurt you. But yeah, getting Saka instead, even for a -4, that does make sense. And you cover plenty of doubles in the future. One blank in 27, but I think it does make sense. Why is it called a deadline stream? Because this will replace the deadline stream that was going to happen tomorrow. And we're covering all the doubts for the deadline. And we're talking about the best Game Week 28 and 29 players. That's why. -4 Gray to Saka. Will only start Saka in 26 and 29. Not sure he's better than Gray. I still think it's worth the hit more. I think it's worth it. Is James Maddison playing? I believe so, yeah. Best Wolves defender, Saiss, Cody or Aït-Nouri. And I'd probably go for Cody or Saiss. One of those two. Manu Energies, wow, legend for answering all these questions. Thank you, Lilovac, and obviously a long-time viewer of the channel. Thank you very much. Dennis to Lacazette worth a hit? I probably wouldn't do that because Arsenal blank in 27 and Dennis could do well in 26. If you already have a -4 when you wildcard, does that go away? Yep. Even if you take a -8, make free transfers, whatever, all of the transfers are cancelled out basically. Yeah, so obviously no hits will incur. The same goes for a free hit. Watkins or Edouard to Weghorst. Watkins, I think I'd sell him instead right now, but kind of tough. Broja and Edouard or Broja and Malpai? Broja and Edouard, just for the double. Malpai has been better recently than Edouard, but I still have a bit of faith in the Crystal Palace front man. Thanks for the help. Thank you very much, Josh. Did I just say that? Josh, Jesus. Thank you very much. What is your plan? I might take an additional hit, so Jota to Saka. And if not, it could be a defender transfer, so Cucurella to a Wolves defender, or even 2 more transfers, and it would be Livramento and Jota out for Saka, and also a Wolves defender, but that would be a -16 in total, because I already made 3 transfers. So quite a lot to think about. I might also put Dennis in for Rafinha or something like that. I'm still not fully decided on that. I'm not that comfortable with benching Dennis, which is a bit weird. Thanks for your help. Could you rate this team for a -4? I think that's a solid team. I like Coutinho long term. And let's see. Ben White, yeah, Arsenal coverage. Yeah, that's pretty good actually. Benches Foden, Reguilon and Soufal. I think to improve your team, maybe Reguilon and Soufal to Wolves defenders. Pretty much. Yeah, I'd get a Wolves defender for Reguilon or Soufal. And Foden could become Cornet. Ismail Assar could be one to look at. Let's see. James Ward-Prowse is good actually long term, and he deserves more credit. How would you rate these moves from -12? Jota, Ronaldo, DCL, James, Salah, triple captain, Lacazette, Jimenez, Gabriel. I like those moves a lot. And Lacazette, obviously there's alternatives. There's Weghorst, there's Broja. Also, well, you got Jimenez there anyway. So maybe Lacazette I'd reconsider, potentially, but the rest look fine. Tierney instead of Gabriel's also a shout, but Gabriel's been very good this season. I think Ryan, thanks Ryan, gonna triple captain Salah. Good luck, mate. Check Ben Crellin, still 13 games to double after 30. Yeah, true, but then some of them could fall under different doubles, under different game weeks. But 36 should still be quite a big game week, but not as big as we thought. Let's wait and see, though. I'm just speculating. I could be completely off the ballpark. Jota to Saka, Coutinho or Rafinha? I would go for Coutinho. But if you really want to, attack this double as well, then go for Saka. But yeah, Rafinha would probably be bottom of those 3. Thank you, Ashwin. So yeah, thank you, Liloac, for pointing that out. Yeah, half of them expected in Game Week 36, which is quite a lot, actually. So yeah, that's a good point. Triple captain Salah, yeah, for me, I would go for it. I have all 11 double Game Week players. De Gea, Bowens. I think you already put this question, Ibrahim. If not, it's just similar to another team I saw. Should I bench boost or triple captain Salah? It's a good bench, but I'd triple captain Salah. I'm planning to triple captain Salah in the next double game week when there is no cup final. Yeah, I think you put this comment before. I would still triple captain Salah right now, but if you feel differently, triple captain him in 29 or another game week. Is Weghorst confirmed to start? No, but he's got a good chance of starting against Brighton. Start 3, Dennis, King, Bowen, Cancelo, Weghorst, Sanchez. I would start Verkhorst, Dennis, and probably Bowen, actually. Ramsdale will start until 32. Probably Ramsdale, actually. You could make a case for going for Sarr instead. Ramsdale's the better pick, until the end of the season. Until 32, it's a bit tighter. Van Dijk or Robertson, I go for Robertson. Digne or Saiss? I actually prefer Saiss. I think Wolves have a better defence. So we've gone through a lot of questions. If you've got any more, let me know down in the comment section below. And if you haven't already, smash the like button and subscribe if you're new. Check out the beginning of this video to see the section where I talk about every single team that doubles in 28 and 29. And I think you'll like that section. And we talked about a lot there. I showed you my plans for Game Week 27, 28 and 29, how my team would look. I'm still going to keep my kind of transfer plans open for those game weeks, and we'll know more after this double is done. But yeah, I might take an additional hit. I've already taken a -8, might even be a -16 overall. I think I'm going to stick with a triple captaincy on Salah. But thank you very much for tuning in. It's much appreciated, and all the very best of luck. It's almost 10 p.m. UK time, so we've been streaming for, what, has it been that long really? Yeah, almost 3 hours, which is crazy. Time has flown by. It's been a lot of fun. So thank you very much to everyone. And in terms of subscribers, we are 16 away from 10,000. So thank you very much. We can hit that in the coming days and weeks. So much appreciated. In terms of the likes, we've also hit the 200 like mark. So much appreciated to all of you. All the very best of luck for Double Gameweek 26. And enjoy the football as always. And I'll see you next time.